Am I audible to everyone? Very good morning, and let's get ready for our rapid fire. All the students who are prepared with me, we have done Anglo sections, introduction of Chaucer, so we'll go for a rapid fire first. पहले एक rapid fire करेंगे, उसके बाद topic पे जाएंगे. How many of you are here for the first time in class? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. अब तो थे 5, okay. हाँ, आपसे पहले बात हुई है मेरी, I remember you. So you shifted here. आप यहाँ पे आ गए हो ना, भी शिफ्ट हो गए हो. आप कहाँ से हो? अच्छा, गंगानगर से हो आप. कौन से कॉलेज से? नेम द टीचर्स. ओपी तिवारी. और उनकी भांजी को भी पढ़ाया था मैंने बाद में. मैंने मेरे सीनियर्स को भी पढ़ाया था बाद में. कन्वे माय रिगार्ड्स टू हिम. जरूर, मेरे टीचर हैं वो. मैंने पैराडाइज लॉ से उनसे पढ़ा है. और कौन कौन है? परनीत मैम है. परनीत जग्गी मैम ना. हाँ, शी इज़ अ राइटर ऑल्सो. पूनम मैम है अभी. और राजावत सर. अच्छा, चलो, ही कम्स फ्रॉम माई कॉलेज. कॉलेज मेट हो गए अब तो. ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रेट. आफ्टर लॉन्ग टाइम यू आर द थर्ड स्टूडेंट फ्रॉम माई कॉलेज इन द क्लास. डिस्कस करेंगे कभी कॉलेज डेज. व्हाट्स अ गुड नेम? चैतन्य. एंड आप में से कौन कौन है आज फर्स्ट डे? कहाँ से आप? हरियाणा से. आप भी आ जाए फर्स्ट. कहाँ से? शारदा दिल्ली से. अरे यू फ्रॉम गंगानगर. कौन सा कॉलेज? वो जो ऐसे गुरु नानक जो गर्ल्स कॉलेज है. अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, जी जी. और आप तो बाहर से, आउट ऑफ इंडिया हैं. पंजाब से, लेकिन आउट ऑफ इंडिया रहते हैं ना आप. नेपाल में रहते हैं ना. हरियाणा से. और कोई? Anybody who's not comfortable with Hindi, English makes, or anybody who doesn't understand a single word in Hindi? Anybody? So let me know if you're not understanding my words or something. As some of you are having your first class today, so just simple suggestion. When you have question, feel free to ask. सवाल जरूर पूछना, ठीक है? Otherwise you'll miss it. Rest of you, let's go for the procedure. Notebook बंद कर दो अपनी. Close the eye box. So the first question goes to you. हाँ, ऋषिकेश. बैठे बैठे यार. These tables are not comfortable ना. What is the name of the villain in Beowulf? Beowulf में villain का नाम क्या है? Come on, it's a big question, important one. Grendel. What is the name of the king in Beowulf? The one who invites. Hrothgar. Huh, this is a question actually. What happened in 1066? Norman conquest is also called. In which year the Black Death broke out? What is Black Death? Plague. Nah, bubonic plague. What was the immediate connection with these deaths of Black Death, caused by Black Death, and religion? That was a faith. How many tribes were there by 850? When Anglo-Saxon King Alfred was the king, how many tribes were there in his command? 7 tribes. How many languages were there which were converted into English language? How many other dialects were there? Name the dialects. Kitni dialects this time? Which dialect was chosen? English became the language of court. English became the language of parliament. English. 63. First book in English. Name 3 kings in the Chaucerian age. Edward III, Richard II, Henry IV. Anybody who can tell me the timings? Who can tell me the timing of their tenure? Hold on, I'll ask. आप बताइए. Order में, so that you always remember it. बहुत बढ़िया, शाबाश. Henry IV. बहुत बढ़िया. Who will repeat it fastest? Fastest. Perfect. ये तीनों kings के नाम याद रखने हैं with the tenure. See, why do we have to remember the timings of these kings? It's simple because the age of Chaucer, it was the time when there was no confirmed publication date. So publications confirm nahi hai. If it is written during the reign of Richard II, it is dedicated to Richard II. So sometimes they ask that this book is dedicated to whom. So this is the way you can find out some estimated publication. आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हो. जैसे Parliament of the Fowls is written on the marriage of Richard II. So Richard II was not the king at that time. He was very young. 13-14 साल का था वो. उसका father जो उसके जो relation में है, uncle, वो king है वहाँ पे, Edward III. That's why we have to go for these historical dates or these kind of events so that we have a better understanding of chronological questions. Last 3 exams, chronology. और इस बार तो हद कर दी थी chronology ने. They never ask questions from Indian literature based on chronology. First time उन्होंने Indian literature से chronology पूछी है, which simply means I will teach you 100+ more dates. सिलेबस और बढ़ गया आपका. अब मुझे बताना पड़ेगा तोरुदत्त कब बॉर्न एंड डेड है, क्योंकि तोरुदत्त टेक्निकली फर्स्ट राइटर है. औरबिंदो की बर्थ डेट, सावित्री कब पब्लिश हुआ था, द गाइड कब पब्लिश हुआ, लाइन से करना पड़ेगा. दे हैव आस्क्ड क्रोनोलॉजी ऑफ इंडियन राइटर्स फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम एंड दिस इज अ वार्निंग बेल. So we have to study that also, but we'll do it. कोई बात नहीं, करेंगे. So tell me this thing, there were 3 special wars where England defeated France. Just raise your hands. Battle of Crecy, Battle of Poitiers, बहुत बढ़िया. Timings? 1346, 1356, 1415. 13 or 15? तो फिर हेनरी फोर्थ का टाइमिंग क्या है? हाँ, तो ये 1415 होगा फिर. Don't mix it up. Now tell me this thing. What was the population, percentage of population that was swept away by Black Death? Name the writer who was against the pardoning system and he took poison. He died in front of everyone, saying that selling pardon is wrong. The one who was made to drink hemlock. Socrates, teacher of Plato, बताया था. In the dream of the rude, why the rude is sad and then why the rude has a philosophical ending. Great. And why is happy last में? Okay, what is Holy Grail? Blood of Jesus? Jesus Christ? जो भी आपको याद है. Was this the face that launched thousands of ships and burned the topless stars of Ilium? Where do we get this line? Where do we get this line? Dr. Foster's. And these lines are talking about Helen. Who comes to Foster's to bring the soul of Helen? Great. What is the name of King Arthur's wife? Guinevere. And who fights with Arthur for Guinevere? Who kills Arthur? Who kills Arthur? King Arthur had some qualities. How many qualities? King Arthur had a round table. How many people were there? What is the specialty about these 12 people? How the round table was gifted to King Arthur? Great, great. Chalo, that was great. Now all the students who have joined today, all of these lectures are available, video में available हैं. So make sure you get it. आनंद सर आप भी देखिएगा. जितने न्यूकमर्स हैं उनको सारे lectures एक बार दे दो. Now at Thursday है ना? So you'll be having a Saturday, Sunday. Watch these lectures so that you won't feel clueless in the exam, right? अभी starting अभी 0 level है. Now we are going to write something. So let's go for age of Chaucer. We have talked about these things. We talked about the introduction of Chaucer, Chaucerian age. हमने डिस्कस किया था. What is the timing? So we're talking about age of Chaucer. We already have done the introduction part. I'll repeat some points for you. Age of Chaucer is also called the first modern age. Age of Chaucer is also called the first modern age. Chaucer is called earliest of the great moderns. First modern writer माना जाता है. If they give you a trick question, who can be called the first ever modern poet in English literature? So options can be Henry James, Virginia Woolf, T.S. Eliot, and one option would be Chaucer. So Chaucer is the first modern writer because अपने समय में, when the organized literature came, he became the first writer to talk about new things. And what was the slogan of modernism given by Ezra Pound? ये हमेशा याद रखना. Ezra Pound gave the slogan, make it new. Who called modern age of anxiety? बहुत बढ़िया, बेहतर रिवीजन किया आप लोगों ने. बस ये मेंटेन रखना. ठीक है. So we have talked about introduction. जो नए स्टूडेंट्स वो देख लो. When we started the modern age or age of Chaucer, calling it the first modern, one of the most important thing we talked about was Black Death. This Black Death was bubonic plague. इसे आप normal plague भी बोल सकते हो, and in case if they give you this word in option, then go for this one. It was a bubonic plague. Plague has been dealt in literature in various ways. Bhavani Bhattacharya, So Many Hungers, talks about plague. इसके अलावा अल्बर्ट कामू की famous book का नाम ही plague है. So I'll be teaching you all those things with the time. Remember this, one of the most important crucial date in the age of Chaucer is 1348 Black Death. It was a plague which resulted in the death of thousands of people. हजारों लोग मर गए. I gave you the idea also. 1/3 population. So when 1/3 population died, some common feeling that emerged, and that common feeling was that why each and everyone is dying. हर कोई कैसे मर रहा है? हम लोग जाते हैं ना हाथ दिखवाने चेक करने के लिए. So some Baba tells you that you are going to live a great life, and the Baba says I am also going to live a great life. In the plague they both died. The pardoners who were selling pardons, ये लो purchase करो pardon, you will live 100 years life, a happy healthy life, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं होगा, तुम्हें कभी sneezing भी नहीं होगी, छींक भी नहीं आएगी. वो भी चला गया, partner भी चला गया. So the common feeling was that it is a wrong number. You getting my point? Wrong number. We are literature students, we connect things. आमिर खान नहीं बोलता कि God से कोई wrong number लगा रहा है, wrong number लगा रहा है. They had this feeling that there is something wrong in religious practices. So point to be noted, they did not question God. They still believed in God. God पे सवाल नहीं उठाया है. They still had faith in God. They just questioned the connection, the process through priest, through church, through monks, popes. This is wrong. And then people came, they started talking about that, yes, let's have religious awareness. यहाँ पे एक moment start होगी. You can mention this. Multiple question from this moment. Lollards. A group of religious people who took the responsibility of causing awareness or religious awareness. What do you mean by this? Laugh out loudly. राजस्थान में क्या होता है? राजस्थानी में लोल. चैतन्य यही होता है. अरे यार नहीं. Why are you going for the upgraded modern day language? Normally आप अगर इसको हिंदी या राजस्थानी में यूज करोगे किसी के लिए तो क्या होता है? बुद्धू, stupid, idiot. So that's how I got my first interaction with this word. I posted something on Facebook. One of my students wrote LOL. I was like, why this student is writing like this? मेरा तो अच्छा terms है इसके साथ. What happened? Why this man is calling me stupid, idiot? So I didn't know that. I ignored it. But फिर भी मुझे बुरा लगा. So I just next day asked my students कि यार किसने लिखा था ऐसे? They said, सर ये तो joke है ना. So what is this? Laughter, something. हाँ. This is what we are going to study in linguistics, sign signifier theory, semiotics. If it is used in local Hindi or Rajasthani language, it has a meaning called idiot. If it's in Facebook language, modern day English language, it has another meaning. Here, in Chaucer's age, lol means to chant the hymns. ये याद रखना कि ये word कहाँ से बना है. Now we got it. Lollards, the singers, the chanters, they were singing religious hymns. They started questioning the practices, wrong practices of church. Chaucer will tell us all the wrong practices. वो हमें बताएगा कि वहाँ पे जो priest थे वो कैसे priest थे. So they started questioning. This is the first religious organized group. So normally people just focus on writers. We have to focus on the historical things. Our religious group, the first ever religious group in England, they started causing awareness against false practices of the church. और ये क्या करते थे? What was their target? They are criticizing the false practice of church. ये बहुत slip करता है हाथ से. If you don't understand some word, let me know, okay? This is slipping. First religious group in England, in modern day England at that time. First religious people. This time they asked a question from Tractarian movement. That is also a religious group, but that is in Victorian age. तो हम तब पढ़ेंगे. First religious group led by this man. Led by this man. So they'll simply say, who started the movement? John Wycliffe. Who was the leader of the group? Wycliffe. And then, यहाँ तक लिख लिया? Done. He is the first person to translate Old Testament into modern day English of that time. What is Old Testament? Bible. Wycliffe is the first person to translate the Bible in English. Do we have any question here? First person to translate Bible in English. Do we have any question here? From which language? What was the original language of Bible? Latin? Old German? Okay, just write about this thing. Vulgate's Latin Bible was translated by him. Vulgate is also called Saint Jerome. Same person, two different names. First name and then the name when you become some priest in the church. Saint Jerome's Latin Bible. Vulgate and Saint Jerome Bible are same thing. Vulgate is real name, then you become a priest, then you are given another name. So Vulgate's Latin Bible or Saint Jerome's Latin Bible was translated by Wycliffe. This will be the tough question. Everybody can mug up who translated Bible first time. But from where? What was the source? Vulgate's Latin Bible. इससे पहले कौन सी बाइबल थी? I'll teach you complete history of Bible, बस फिलहाल इतना देख लो. It was in Hebrew, the language of Jews. Jesus Christ was not a Christ actually, Christian. Christ was not a Christian. Who was he? He was a Jew. But then his views and points were different from others. Where other people, the bishops, monks of that time, they were supporting royal class. And they were making a clear difference between the common people and the royal people. Christ came with this idea that we all are equal in front of God. There is no king, there is no poor person, no farmer. उससे पहले क्या था? Old Testament में there was a big difference. The bloodline of the king is the divine bloodline. So राजा तो राजा ही है, and commoners are commoners. Christ said no, it's not like that. It's liberal. So the followers of Christ, they followed him. That is called New Testament. It is Old Testament. It is a Bible before Christ. Did you know that there is a Bible before Christ? Old Testament. Sermons, speeches given by the bishops and monks. Old Testament. Bible before Christ. Then Christ comes. His points, his views, his opinions were liberal. So when Jesus Christ came, his followers followed his ideas and wrote it down, which is called New Testament. When I'll teach you in depth में बताऊंगा, Old Testament में 39 books हैं, इसमें 27 हैं. We'll go in the history of Bible. Mother Mary, good question. Who was being praised in Old Testament? Virgin Mary, Mother Mary, and the popes. Vatican Church आज भी Old Testament follow करता है. Anglican Church follows New Testament. Indian churches follow New Testament. But in Kerala there are some groups they still follow Old Testament. Clear? Any questions? So remember this point. Old Testament before Christ, New Testament after Christ. In ancient timings, translating or talking about New Testament was a crime. William Tyndale is the first writer. First writer who tried to translate New Testament. First writer who tried to translate New Testament. He did it, couldn't complete, पूरा finish नहीं हुआ था. And then he was given the punishment. He was given the punishment. New Testament. See, Old Testament was more king friendly, royal family friendly. देखो आपको भी पता है कोई राजा किसी का बेटा भगवान का बेटा नहीं होता, लेकिन अगर एक प्रीस्ट, एक बिशप, उसको राजा से फ्रेंडशिप रखनी है, you know, politics, religion or power, they are almost connected. So, yeah, it was there. Bishops, they would say that king is the right son of God. God told me. Now you'll have to have a faith. King is taking taxes. Now you cannot question the church because king's army is protecting the bishop. So they were always having hands in hands. जब चार्ल्स वन ऐश कर रहा था ना, I told you the story, जब history की बात की थी हमने, talking about the brief introduction of chronology. Charles I was enjoying his life because there was an Archbishop Gordon. He was supporting him. That the king is king. King कुछ भी कर रहा है उसमें hidden meaning है. अगर king सो रहा है तो उसका मतलब कुछ hidden meaning है इसमें. So he was enjoying his life. यहाँ तक clear रखना याद, point बहुत जरूरी है. Now let's talk about the literature of this age. We have understood this age, religious point of view, Black Death, wars. Now let's go for the literature of this age. Primarily 4 languages have been used in age of Chaucer. Chaucer and Chaucer's contemporary. They have used 4 different languages, primarily 4 big languages. Though there are some other dialects also. But primarily 4 big languages. Use के according French सबसे ज़्यादा, then Latin, then a bit English, a bit Italian, and then a bit English. Still in age of Chaucer, people were writing in French. Gower has written in French. Chaucer himself has written in French. So they were still dealing with French language, which was the most immediate language, क्योंकि उनके लिए वो fresh language थी. Point. How French language came to this area? French came after this war. So लिख लो उसको जिसको नहीं याद है. Norman conquest. (1066). Normans came from Normandy, France. Who was the king of Normandy? Normans. William the Conqueror. Yes. So when the Normans came to this area, they brought French language. And it was the immediate language. Because they overpowered everybody, they started using French language. Soon, they will switch to English language. But that will be after 1362, 1363. So remember this thing, in age of Chaucer, if they ask you a question, because see, they do not ask simple question. They'll simply say, pick the language which was not frequent in age of Chaucer. So कई बार क्या होता है, आपने पढ़ा हुआ है, but you're not sure about your answer. यार ये क्या पूछ लिया इसने? So remember this thing, primarily 4 major languages were there. And most of these people, they were taking references from Italian literature. Another point to be noted. यही चीज आपको इसलिए आपको ऑफलाइन में आने के लिए बोला जाता है. They were taking references from Italian literature. यानी their works, their concepts were mostly modeled upon. Number 1, Italian references बहुत हैं. They have taken Italian references. Number 2, French references, French literature. So if they say that the writers who have written in this age, their books were actually based on, or the references were taken from, or they were modeled upon. First reference, Italian literature. Second comes French literature. And French, Italian, they will dominate actually. Victorians tak Italian Renaissance jayega. So who are the people in Italian Renaissance? Then we will go to deal with the writer. What is Renaissance? Classicals? Nahi. They are trying to imitate. Nahi. What is Renaissance? Revival. Okay, or anybody who wants to say Punarjagran? Who will explain what is Renaissance? बैठे. A new change, a sudden change, a development. The simple, easy language to understand Renaissance is that the day you decide that let's change, let's make a change, do something different, it's enough, whatever we have done, it is time to explore. So you go for exploration, you go for development, you move towards the new understandings, new concepts, new horizons. It's overall revival of learning. Individual Renaissance भी होते हैं. कभी ऐसा लगा है बहुत हो गया, अब से पढ़ाई? ऐसा हुआ है? बहुत हो गया, बहुत टाइम वेस्ट कर लिया, बस आज टाइम टेबल बनेगा, आज से पढ़ाई. That is individual reawakening, individual revival of learning. See, Italian Renaissance became the base of most of the English, early English literature at that time. Primarily Petrarch, then Boccaccio. नाम लिखते जाओ इनके. Dante. Petrarch, Boccaccio, Dante. 3 pillars of early Italian Renaissance. 3 pillars. We have to be prepared with Italians also. लोग सिर्फ English पढ़ रहे होंगे, हम Italians देख के भी जाएंगे. To be the best. सब देखना है. Petrarch is father of sonnets. Petrarch is called father of sonnets. Sonnets actually came from Italy. It was called sonetto, a musical song. Petrarch, father of sonetto. Sonnet came from Italy. It was called sonetto, a musical song. Rest you know, 14 lines and all. See, lyric is primarily connected to a musical instrument, lyre. So if you're singing it with that, it is lyric. But sonnet is a fixed 14 lines iambic pentameter style. इसका rhyme scheme वगैरह भी आपको याद करना पड़ेगा. With the coming time, आपको याद करवाएंगे. Second, Boccaccio. He's the first person who talks about frame narrative. Frame narrative style. What is frame narrative? Yes. बहुत बढ़िया आंसर था. Frame narrative, story within story. Anybody who can give me an example? महाभारत, story within a story. वेद व्यास जी जो कहानी सुना रहे हैं उसमें कहानी है. और Canterbury Tales, yes. Boccaccio, Decameron is the base of Canterbury Tales actually. If you want to write his famous work, let's write it here. Decameron, just like Canterbury Tales. His famous book, Decameron. Story within a story. हाँ, Canterbury Tales. Technically first book है. It's the first book dealing with frame narrative, so there are so many stories. Chaucer's का हाँ work का base है. It is a base for Chaucer's work. Who did not understand frame narrative? Feel free to raise your hands. Tell me. I know नहीं समझ में आया, मुझे तो पता ही है. बताओ. Who did not understand frame narrative? पक्का? बताइए. अरे बहुत बढ़िया. She has understood. आप बताइए. स्टोरी हाँ बताओ. देखिए अगर आप कह रहे, if you're saying story within a story just like Canterbury Tales, it means you have mucked up the answer. Do you understand what is frame narrative? If you understand it, you can always find it out. एक narrator आपको कहानी सुना रहा है. Writer is writing a book. Book में he is talking about some home, some house, where somebody has come to purchase it. That somebody who has come to purchase is the part of main story. Then he feels there is so many, there are so many sounds, and there are so many mysterious figures in the house. That somebody talks to the servant of the house. That I hear a lot of sounds around. What is this? That servant says, I will tell you a story. So जो traveler था, अब उसको भी एक अंदर कहानी मिलने वाली, which is framed narrative. Which book I'm talking about? Perfect. बहुत ही बढ़िया आंसर है. I was talking about Wuthering Heights. Mr. Lockwood comes to the property. He wants to buy the property, but then he feels that there is some mysterious presence around this. Mr. Lockwood doesn't know what's happening. He tries to find it out. Then he talks to the servant, Nellie Dean. And then the servant tells the love story, Heathcliff, Catherine, and you all know. Okay? So this is frame narrative. Make sure you understand things. We are not here to mug up. Mug up करना है chronological date, क्योंकि उसमें कोई logic नहीं है. Rest we all have to understand things. Now Dante, he is the base of 30% plus literature. Dante एक पे base है. I have read it somewhere. I don't know कहाँ पढ़ा था, but I was reading a good book. So वहाँ पे clearly mention था 30% literature आपको Dante पे base मिलेगा. 30% literature is based on Dante. हाँ जी? हाँ. Full name Dante Alighieri. Famous work. Divine Comedy. It was actually Commedia, but in English we write it Divine. And here, yeah, La Divina Commedia. And here, if you want to add one more fact, the word divine, divina, it was given by Boccaccio. It was La Commedia. The original work was La Commedia. But this word, it was attributed by Boccaccio. Boccaccio added divine. Divina Commedia. We have to understand his base, this basic summary so that we can answer most of the questions. Directly, indirectly, 30% plus literature is based on Dante because this is the first ever book that will give you the complete journey of a soul. Questions आते हैं exam में. They'll ask you question. This book starts from which age, which particular place, who is traveling in the hell, then what are the steps, how many stages are there. Dante's Divine Comedy is written in a language called, बताओ. Latin, Italian, That was from Italy. So, which language? इटली से था तो कौन सी लैंग्वेज में लिखेगा? फ्रेंच में लिखेगा? This is a hack actually, this is a point. Note करना है. It is not written in any big language. It is written in a small dialect. Tuscan. It's a small dialect, point to be noted. JRF crack करना है तो JRF के level का knowledge चाहिए. Sharp and accurate. No Italian, no French, no Latin. A small border language, Dalmatian. Italian, Dalmatian border dialect. तो उतना चाहे मत लिखो, Italian, Dalmatian border language, but it was a dialect, Tuscan. The greatest work of literature is written in a local dialect. Now, Divine Comedy is divided in three parts, three major parts. Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso. Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso. Three parts of Divine Comedy. Three parts. Inferno is hell. The first writer who describes hell. It was described in Bible, so no doubt Bible was there, but technically he's the first person who talks about concept of hell. Then purgation. Dante's description of hell is the base of greatest works. Paradise Lost के अंदर भी hell description वहीं से लिया है. Milton का अपना standard है. Milton is no doubt. I don't think Milton is second to Dante. Dante, Milton है. Purgatorio, purgation. When you go through purgation, step by step purgation होता है. And the last one is paradise. Anybody was read it earlier? आपने पढ़ा Inferno? Syllabus में था? Great यार. Inferno syllabus में पढ़ा रहे हैं, वाह. बहुत बढ़िया. Masters के syllabus में. Great. So tell me about Inferno. It is the journey of Dante's soul, who is traveling through these different stages. Soul. Whose soul? Dante's soul. It is a dream allegory style. Dante's soul. ये base है, हमें जानना जरूरी है. Dante's soul is traveling. It's in hell. Then it will go to Purgatorio. It's Paradiso. Question of net exam. The book starts from which age? Which place? Hell. The first book is hell, Inferno. Dante's soul is in hell. So what happens in Inferno? बताइए. Punishments. What are those 9 circles?
I don't exactly remember, but I know he also talks about sins, which I forgot to mention, the 7 deadly sins.
There are various punishments for the sins. So when the soul travels, mention करो उसको, note करते जाओ. When the soul travels, first the soul has to go for punishment for all the 7 deadly sins. 7 sins that can spoil you. Wrath, envy, lust, greed, gluttony. Lust, our wrath, greed, lust, envy, और pride, और एक दो चार और अपनी तरफ से लगा दो. Overuse of Instagram. आजकल के तो 7 deadly sins यही है ना. So the punishment, then the soul gets refined. Once they have gone through their punishment and everything, the soul goes to Purgatorio. In Purgatorio, he is taken through purgation. What is purgation? पहले यहाँ पे punishment मिलेगा. हर चीज का punishment है. You have to pay for that. If you were greedy, take the punishment. If you were suffering from gluttony, overeating, take the punishment. So सारी punishments मिलेंगी. Once you're done with those punishments, then you go to the next thing, purgatorio. In purgatorio, you are taken through the purgation. What is purgation? You are purified, refined, where you take yourself to a level where you're not happy, not sad, you do not care about anything, and all these sins, all these greed and other things, it's totally wiped out. आपके अंदर से हटा दिया गया है. Your soul is purely refined. Purgation is a kind of situation where you Aristotle talks about purgation actually. Catharsis के अंदर बात करता है ना, clarification, purification, purgation. It's just when you stop giving damn about things. If you get sad, you're not purgated. If you feel happy, you're not purgated. Purgation मतलब छोड़ दो इन सबको. हाँ. क्रेमेटोरियम्स में जो क्रेमेशन की लकड़ियां दे रहे होते हैं, वो रोते हैं किसी के साथ आने पे. जब हम जाते हैं, if we are going to bury a body in the grave, there are so many people they are charging for a good coffin, maybe for a good place. Are they even having a single person emotion for you, for your loss? Can you have the same kind of behavior? So what's the difference between them and you? Are they criminals? Then what's the difference between you and them? They have understood it is the reality of life. One day we all have to go, and this is the process. Purgation. I take my examples from my own life. I was in 12th class in Varanasi. So I happened to be at that place called Harishchandra Ghat, where all these bodies are brought. So there was a viewpoint and the foreigners were clicking photos. So I thought maybe there is something causing curiosity. I went to check it. And then I was like, I almost, fainted. I could see 30, 40 bodies being burned together. 30-40 log. So मुझे ऐसा हुआ that I have to run, leave this place and बाहर निकलना मुझे. I just felt suffocated. So when I was running and trying to get out of that radius, I saw people are eating pani puri around, लोग बातें कर रहे हैं, चाय चल रही है अगल बगल में, like bodies are burning and there are some people that are eating something. तो मुझे लगा था कि ये क्या हो गया? Why these people? How can they behave like this? We see a single body passing by on the road, we do this, we pray for the soul, even if it's the unknown soul. You see, na? Imagine how can somebody eat right there? Yes. So the moment you understand the pain and suffering is the part of life, pain and suffering is the part of life, you get purgated. मेरे दोस्त था, वो नेट में एक बार फेल हुआ, बहुत दुखी था. दोबारा फेल हुआ, बहुत दुखी था. तीसरी बार फेल हुआ, एंगर, सैड दोनों था. फोर्थ में ही वाज नॉट दैट मच सैड. फिफ्थ में अगेन ही वाज नॉट दैट मच सैड. सिक्स्थ में ही वाज वेरी मच कंफर्टेबल कि हाँ पता है मुझे फेल ही होना है. ही गॉट परगेटेड. वो परगेट हो गया ना, देखो तू समझ गया ना कि ठीक है यार, नहीं है. सिर्फ इतना कहना है उसके केस में कि वो अभी गवर्नमेंट जॉब में है, उत्तराखंड सेट को उसने टॉप किया. सारा नॉलेज कहीं खराब नहीं गया. नेट नहीं हो रहा था लेकिन वो पढ़ तो नेट के लिए रहा था. ही बिकेम द टॉपर ऑफ उत्तराखंड सेट सम 2017-18. अब गवर्नमेंट जॉब में है, बढ़िया सा, ही इज एंजॉयिंग हिज कॉलेज. पहाड़ों में कॉलेज है एंड ही हैज नॉलेज नेट का, तो ही इज हाईली रिस्पेक्टेड. तो बच्चों को गाइड कर रहे हैं, शाम को वहाँ पे बैडमिंटन खेल रहे हैं, इज एंजॉयिंग हिज लाइफ. लाइफ डजंट एंड. You'll find out a way, and knowledge never goes wasted. Got it? So we have gone through purgation. Clear? ज़्यादा जानकारी Aristotle में दूंगा. Paradise. Once you're totally purgated, ना किसी से कोई लेना देना, ना कोई सुख, ना कोई दुख, you're totally purgated. Then you get a ladder. आपको एक golden सीढ़ी मिलेगी यहाँ पे. You will be given a ladder, a golden ladder. There you can climb and go to paradise. Then you enter in paradise. So you have paid for your crimes, your sins, then you have been purified, dipped in Ganga Jal like, purified, and then you can go to heaven. ठीक है? Paradise में उसको Beatrice guide करती है. The ideal woman. Who guides him in paradise? Beatrice. I'll teach you this when I'll teach you the ancient writers. These are the base. Description of 7 deadly sins, punishments, hell, all these things. Now, let's go for Chaucer as a writer. Geoffrey Chaucer as a writer. Now we're dealing with the first writer directly. We have got enough base for these things. Geoffrey Chaucer, born 1343. ये याद रखना. Age of Chaucer is 1340 because we take it in a round way. So एक approximation के लिए हमने 1340 round figure में लिया है. But when you talk about the author himself, it is 1343 confirmed है. 1343 to 1400, it is the timing of Chaucer's birth and his death. Chaucer, as a writer, he has been celebrated by many people, so we have to talk about his existence, his identity in English literature. Write down some points. The first thing, he is called the father of English poetry. Chaucer is called father of English poetry by John Dryden. These are repeated questions. ये आपको जरूर याद रखना है. Father of English poetry by John Dryden. Then, done? So he's called father of English poetry. He is also called, Matthew Arnold said, write this, it is with him that our real poetry was born. Matthew Arnold, Victorian writer. It is with him our real poetry was born. It is with him our real poetry was born. Matthew Arnold also questions Chaucer's high seriousness, which is a repeated question. तो वो भी हमें नोट करना है. No doubt, he's a great poet, but highlight कर लो उसको. But he lacks high seriousness. Multiple questions in exam. But he lacks high seriousness. So no doubt he's a good poet, a great writer, but he lacks high seriousness. Simple point is, it's like intermingled things. Arnold believed in this thing, that if you're writing a great book, be serious. If you're writing something big, be serious. If you want to refine society, if you want to convey something, be serious. I'll ask you a simple question. If I have to motivate you, should I be serious or I should go for sarcasm, satires? कैसे motivate करना चाहिए? If my intention is to motivate you. किसी को बोलना है कि बेटा पढ़ाई करो, तो कैसे बोलूं कि पढ़ाई करो, कुछ करो, या बोलूं कि पढ़ाई करनी तो जिया सराय में ठेला लगाना पड़ेगा? सार्केस्टिक बोलूं, कौन सा ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव है? मीडिया हमारा कैसे न्यूज़ दिखाता है? फॉरेन मीडिया को वो दिखाएगा कि आ हीरोइन कंप्लेन्स अगेंस्ट सम सीनियर एक्टर फॉर मॉलेस्टेशन, और वो तनुश्री वाली न्यूज़ हमारा मीडिया कैसे दिखा रहा था? तनुश्री दत्ता नाना पटेकर, ओ मैंने कहती नाना नाना. तो न्यूज़ तो दोनों में सेम है, बट स्टाइल किस में फनी है? सेकेंड वाले में. आर्नोल्ड फॉलोड क्लासिक्स. Arnold believed in this thing, that if you're writing great books, if you want to reform society, be serious. Chaucer was not serious in his content. He goes for mock heroic style, mocking, satires, funny way में बात करता है. So Arnold says, no doubt he is the first poet, no doubt he is a great poet, but seriousness नहीं है. He is not serious. A poet should be serious because you are not an ordinary person. You are God gifted. So this is his point of view, Matthew Arnold. Clear? Chaucer is also called the father of rhyming, first rhymer. ये ड्राइडन नहीं बोला है. Father of rhyming, simply poetry only. He is the first person to use heroic couplet actually. Chaucer is the first person to use heroic couplet. Then he is also the first person to develop a rhyme scheme, rhyme royal. Sometimes they trick you with these questions. First person to use heroic couplet and first person to develop a new kind of rhyme. Rhyme the royal. Seven-line stanza. Seven-line stanza. How many of you know how to read the rhymes? 1, 2, 3. बाकी? Rhymes को कैसे पढ़ना है? Rhymes. What is A? What is B? Like दोनों तो same ही है. Then what is AB? Then what is ABA? ये सब आता पढ़ना? किसको नहीं आता एकदम? The last sounds, ending lines, बस उसको match करना होता है. ठीक है? If in case you are not sure about it, let me know. 7-line stanza, rhyme scheme you have written AB, BC, C. 7-line stanza. Please remember this thing. It was invented by Chaucer. Approved by Edward III. Henry Ford का छोटा सा contribution है. He just made it performed in the court. So लिख ही लो. और बाद में इसको एक राजा यूज भी करेगा. King James. Henry Ford got it performed in the court. Technically बहुत in depth knowledge है तो I think ना लिखो तो भी चल जाएगा. इतना नहीं पूछेंगे नेट में. उसके बाद King James आएगा. Then King James will use it as a writing style. Chaucer was a royal poet, invented by Chaucer, approved by the permission of the king, so Edward III. Henry IV got it performed in the court. So Legis Kazamia mein reference hai. If you want to write, you can write. After that, King James from Scotland. King James I from Scotland used it and wrote King Square. After that, King James I from Scotland used it and wrote King Square. So this is how the royals selected their style. If they ask you why the rhyme royal is called rhyme the royal, because if it is just a rhyme, why it is called royal, rhyme royal? So you have all the answers that how it is connected to the royals. Royals के साथ क्या connection है? This style was later used by King James I of Scotland, not of England. King James I of England will come in 1603. We are talking about King James I of Scotland. So he wrote a famous work, King Square, around 1424. This is the first used by a directly by a king. So these are the reasons that this rhyme scheme is called rhyme the royal. Any questions? Come again? Around 1424, yeah. Around, 1424, around. बाद में use हुआ ये. Any questions? No questions? Now, let's go for this man. Father John Chaucer, mother Agnes Chaucer. ऐसे ग्रेजुएशन में पढ़ते होगे ना, फादर कौन था, मदर कौन. बट ये आते हैं क्वेश्चंस में, दे आस्क. देयर आर सो मेनी स्टूपिड क्वेश्चंस दे आस्क. एक क्वेश्चन आया था, पिक द राइटर हुज फादर वाज नॉट अ गार्डनर. सो स्टूडेंट्स कंफ्यूज्ड कि यार किसी के पापा गार्डनिंग नहीं करते हैं, हमें कैसे पता होगा. बट एक्चुअली 3 of these writers were writing about bogland poetry, plantation poetry. So उनमें से एक बहुत आसान था, but bogland poetries are not in the syllabus. कोई पढ़ाता ही नहीं है. They are rare writers. Seamus Heaney started these things. So they ask these kind of tough questions, next level questions, which are not in books, not in syllabus. अभी कल परसों मैंने एक लेक्चर डाला था गे लिटरेचर का, देखा था? उसमें बहुत सारे राइटर्स हैं, बहुत सारे टर्म्स हैं. I'll be teaching you all those terms. It is not mentioned in direct syllabus. And they have not mentioned feminism directly. So feminism, queer, कुछ भी mentioned नहीं है, but they're asking questions. Last night exam, 2 questions from gay literature. So we have to prepare at least 30 more writers to be safe. उरुषि वैद वगैरह हमने पहले भी किए हुए हैं. So his father was a rich merchant, mother a homemaker, simple. As he is the first writer, we should write this thing. कोई पूछे ना नेट का सिलेबस क्या है, यही बोलना कुछ भी आ सकता है. बस यही एक सिलेबस है, कुछ भी आ सकता है, कहीं से भी आ सकता है. John Chaucer was a rich London merchant. So Chaucer was from a rich family. Then he got married to. Chaucer got married. Philippa Royd. Philippa Royd. He got married to Philippa Royd. This is important. Philippa. He got married to Philippa Royd. Philippa Royd, done, was sister of who was his wife? The King John of Gaunt. He had many wives. Philippa Royd was a sister of third wife. John of Gaunt की third wife. Gaunt is the name of place. John is the name of king. So, शादी कहाँ पे हुई थी उसकी? एक तरीके से रॉयल फैमिली में. So she was the sister of the queen, third wife of John of Gaunt. This is how Chaucer found a royal connection. Soon, he became the part of royals. Soon he became the royal poet. अभी रॉयल पोइट कैसे हुआ? He was already talented, he was already a writer, he was trying to write things, and then he got family connections. This is how, and it was a time there were only counted writers. Along with that, Chaucer was also counted for his bravery. When he was at the age of 16, Chaucer participated in 100 Years' War. Participated in 100 Years' War. With Edward III, under the command of Edward III. At the age of 16, he was personal assistant of Edward III. He participated in the war, 100 Years' War, and was taken a prisoner. उसको पकड़ लिया था उन्होंने. Chaucer, at the age of 16, was serving the king. Then he went to the war. In the war, he was taken as a prisoner. He was kidnapped, abducted. And then Edward III, because he was his favorite, Edward III paid the ransom price, ransom amount. इसको छुड़ाया गया था फिरौती देके. ऐसे ही होता ना पाउंड, ऐसे होता ना. तो जो भी उस समय के पैसे थे 16 पाउंड, शायद ऐसे ही होता है. Imagine if the ransom was not paid, he would have been killed by them. What would have been the future? English hota, literature hota. What if somebody, like, it was not evident that, okay, if Chaucer is thinking about English, others are also thinking. He's called the first person who talks about these things. So what if none of them ever thought about English? There would have been no English literature, there would have been no English literature courses, no net classes. One small thing, and the effects, the results are seen in hundreds of years. This is called butterfly effect. इसे बोलते हैं butterfly effect. Culture studies करता हूँ मैं. If a butterfly is flapping the wings, it doesn't go wasted. Butterfly effect. What change it causes? अगर एक जो तितली है वो ऐसे पंखों को फड़फड़ा रही है. So if it's flapping the wings, what change it causes? क्या बदल गया? नहीं, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? वो एयर में चीजें क्रिएट तो होती है ना. The movement gets created. We don't see it. It is not visible. So we say नहीं, कुछ नहीं होता है. Things happen. That is contributed. Whatever you have done is being counted. इसलिए कहते हैं बूंद बूंद से सागर का घड़ा जो है भर जाता है, सागर भर जाता है. Let it be counted. What do you have to take as a message? Keep going. It's being counted. जितना पढ़ सकते हो, जितना जान सकते हो, जितना सीख सकते हो, करते जाओ. तुम्हें खुद नहीं पता लगेगा कौन सा नॉलेज कहाँ पे काम आ गया. बटरफ्लाई इफेक्ट. तो अगर एक तितली भी अगर पंख फड़फड़ा रही है तो उसने वाइब्रेशंस क्रिएट की हैं. That is being counted. You may not see the direct impact, but it is being counted. समुद्र में से आपने एक लोटा पानी निकाला है, वो काउंटेड है. वो हम कहेंगे नहीं, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. वो कोई फर्क इसलिए नहीं पड़ता बिकॉज आवर अंडरस्टैंडिंग लेवल इज जनरलाइज्ड. बट एक लोटा पानी कम हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? हुआ ना. तो है ना, काउंटेड तो है ही. सो पॉइंट टू बी नोटेड, याद रखना ये. ही वॉज ransomed 16 pound, got back, became a royal poet. Then, once he became the royal poet, he went on diplomatic tour of Italy, France, and came with having the influence. Chaucer's early writings are in French and Italian, so he had that influence of French and Italian literature, Italian lifestyle. It was only because of his diplomatic tours. So कभी इटली जा रहा है, कभी फ्रांस जा रहा है, so he was being in touch with those people. अब धीरे धीरे उनसे चीजें सीखता है. Now, Chaucer's career is divided in 3 parts. Chaucer's career is divided in 3 parts. French phase, Italian phase, and the third one is English. As a writer, as an author, his career is divided in 3 parts. We have 3 different phases here. First one is French, because when Chaucer still was exploring the language, the first language for him was French. He was born 1343. At that time, already French was there. So, French phase mein, please remember the timing. Before 1372, everything is in French, whatever he has written. 1372 to 1384. It's Italian phase. Estimated time. And after 1384, everything is in English. Time ke according, estimate lena hai. No 100% confirmation of publications. That's why we have to take this estimate. So before 1372, all of these books, whatever the books were written, it was in French. Almost around the tenure of Edward III. Jab tak Edward III hai. Then comes the timing of others, till 84, Richard II primarily, it's in Italian. Then the third one is in French, after 1384. Henry IV was there. Clear? Let's go for the first phase, French phase. अब इसकी books पे चलते हैं. This is the first and famous book of French language, written by Chaucer. You will find their dates on Wikipedia. अगर आप date check करोगे, dates मिलेंगी. No doubt it will be there. But it is not trusted, so no need to go for these dates. But in case they ask you the chronology for Chaucer, so remember French, Italian, and then English. ये order याद रखना है. First famous book. In French, it is written as Book of the Duchess. Book. I am writing it in English. Book of the Duchess. This is a dream allegory. This book is a dream allegory. Who will tell me what is dream allegory? Allegory बताओ पहले तो. हाँ indirectly, लेकिन indirectly में तो satire भी आ जाएगा. Okay, और कौन हो जाएगा? Burlesque भी same ही है फिर इसका मतलब. Parody भी same ही है. ठीक है, allegory is not something very tough or something like that. It's simple. What she has said is the right answer. When you want to convey something deep, but you're taking the lighter note of that thing. So you are telling a simple story, but the simple story has lot of messages, moralities, biblical messages, divine messages. That is called allegory. Dante's Divine Comedy is one of the first and best allegory of the world. The soul that travels in the hell, then purgatorio and paradiso. It is actually a message to everyone that if you do wrong, your soul will also travel like this, and you will have to go for punishments. So allegory which gives you hidden messages for a betterment, for a good thing. Satires आपको hurt करने के लिए हो सकते हैं. जरूर नहीं है satire good चीज के लिए हो. Lampoon, burlesque, parody हंसी मजाक के लिए होते हैं. Allegory always has a message to be given. ठीक है, ये difference है. Now see the point. It is a dream allegory. So Chaucer as a writer. Now what is dream allegory? Allegory we have understood. Connect the dreams. Initially these writers, they took the help of divine connection. Dreams were connected to divine things. People believed in this thing that if you see the dreams, in the dream God talks to you. You still have this faith? सपने में देखते हैं तो हम पूछते नहीं किससे से कि मैंने कल ये देखा तो अब क्या होने वाला है? Ill omens, auspicious things. So at that time they strongly believed in this thing that when you sleep, it is the God who sends you the direct messages. It is the father figure that connects you. Sigmund Freud came and said, no, it's not God. It's your own thought process. So when these writers were using the dream allegory reference, they wanted to say that I am just a medium. It is the God who is telling you these things. So Divine Comedy bhi dream allegory style hai. Got it? It is a dream allegory. So what happens? Chaucer is reading a book. Pointers लिख लो. You won't have to read this. फिर पढ़ना नहीं पड़ेगा आपको. Chaucer was reading this book. It is the story of a husband and wife. Husband dies. Then wife prays the God to see the husband for the last time. ये इसकी story है. Unknown book है. Six Analcyon. So he was reading this book. Then he sleeps. So he was already reading a book where there is a couple. She's the wife, is the husband. Husband is dead. Wife is crying. लिख लो चलो pointers लिख लो. seeks an Halcyon, husband dies. It's story of a couple where husband is dead. Wife prays the goddess to see her husband for one last time. वो कहती मुझे एक बार देखना है. It's like we have lost somebody. So when we have lost somebody, the biggest feeling is that we get to see that person at least once again. So she's crying, she convinces the goddess. Goddess gives a chance to see her husband. Chaucer was reading this book, then he sleeps, and the dream starts. So this book is also the part of dream sequence. वो dream में ही पढ़ रहा होता है. But the then dream starts. So first they ask you a trick question. That in the famous book of the Duchess, name the book Chaucer as a narrator was reading. So he was reading this book, Sakes and Alcyone. इस किताब को पढ़ने के बाद, and it is also the part of dream thing. किताब को भी dream में ही पढ़ रहा है. He is reading it, then he wakes, and then he sleeps in the dream, and then when he wakes up, अभी कहानी पढ़ने के बाद, dream में, he thinks he नहीं बुक है हाँ बुक है लेकिन इसका ऑथर श्योर नहीं है. Then he wakes up in the dream only. And he wakes up in a big palace. उसकी आँख खुलती है, there is a big palace. So when he wakes up, he finds himself in a castle, in a palace. Question, यहाँ से क्या आया था? What does he see on the walls? So he is in the palace, and the palace wall are full of images of Trojan War. Painting हो रखी है किले की दीवारों पे. Trojan War. The palace walls are encarved with the Trojan War images. It means it has a reference of War of Troy. Remember, that's why we have done that story, War of Troy. Trojan War reference. Now, when he's in the palace looking at these images, he hears a sound. Hounds barking. So what is that sound? Barking dogs. Shikari dogs. Wild animal, wild dog. So he's in the castle, he's in the palace. So he hears a sound. He chases the sound and chases the sound and follows it. When he follows it, he goes to the forest. There he meets the knight. He meets the king. This knight is crying. This knight is sad. Chaucer questions him. What happened? Why are you crying? He says, I played chess with destiny. Symbol of chess, याद रखना है. With destiny. What is destiny? Fate. के सेरा सेरा. तो गाना है. गाना सुना है माधुरी दीक्षित वाला के सेरा सेरा जो भी हो सो हो. It's a line that actually comes in Hamlet. Que sera sera is a Latin phrase taken from Hamlet. When Hamlet's friend Horatio tells him that no, Hamlet, please don't go. Claudius will kill you. Then Hamlet says, there is a special providence even in a fall of a sparrow. Que sera sera. Whatever is written will happen. जो होना है वो होगा ही होगा. तो अगर मुझे मरना है तो मरना ही है. So he was playing the chess with destiny. What is chess? Life game. जीवन क्या है? Chess a game और क्या है? किसी भी स्टेप पे चेकमेट हो सकता है. You never know. We all want to win, but the opponent party, the destiny, they have their moves. God moves in mysterious ways. He was playing chess, he lost, and the price he paid. What is the price he has paid? His wife is no more, his beloved is no more. And he says the price is I lost my good, fair, white. Please remember, reference, Who is the good fair wight? Yes. He says, I have lost my good fair wight. Talking about his wife. ये कह रहा है कि किस्मत से मैं मतलब it's a symbolic message actually that I have lost my wife. So he's crying. Six and Alcyon had the same reference. Wife crying for husband. In the story, husband is crying for wife. So it talks about his wife, his love, good fair things and all. Point to be noted. Now, no need to read the depth of the story. In-depth questions nahi aate hain. Point to be noted. The knight is Duke of Gaunt. ये John of Gaunt पे लिखा हुआ है. So who is the king here? John of Gaunt, Duke of Gaunt. And who's the wife? Then I'll tell you the tough question that has been asked in exam. नहीं. Duchess Blanche. Her name has been asked in exam, and the tough question, her family line has been asked. Must be having more. King था यार वो. Chaucer सिर्फ उसकी सबसे favorite first wife के लिए लिख रहा है. Duchess Blanche, right? It's an elegy. It is written in an elegy mode. Technically, he is talking about the death of Duchess Blanche. Now, she is a real life character. He is a real life character. Question in exam. This is a very common question. Name of the Duchess. They'll simply say, who is good fair wight? In the story book of the Duchess, who has been addressed as good fair wight? Right answer. Tough question. From which dynasty, which community she belonged? That was a question. मैं हंस रहा था जब ये पेपर में क्वेश्चन आया था ना, तो I was just like laughing कि यार ये क्या चाहते हैं बच्चों से. हाउस ऑफ लैंकेस्टर 2015 का भी क्वेश्चन है ये दिसंबर में, वहां भी आया हुआ है. डचेस ब्लैंच बिलोंग टू, हाँ डायनेस्टी पूछिए ना. हाउस ऑफ यॉर्क, हाउस ऑफ लैंकेस्टर, वारविकशायर, डर्बीशायर, ये सारे क्वेश्चंस में आ सकते हैं. So she is technically the first queen Chaucer is talking about. They made the question tough. So even if you know Duchess Blanche, but you don't know where she comes from, the answer is gone. This has been asked. ये नहीं बोलना कहाँ से थी ये. Good fair wight और ये सब याद रहेगा. Next book. ABC, a long prayer. It is actually a long prayer written in French celebrating goddess Venus, but it doesn't have any title. So there are 3 different stanzas, so it is called A, B, and C. It is just A, B, C, having 3 different stanzas. So 3 different stanzas, 3 different styles, that's why it's called ABC. It's just a long prayer. So at that time, these people did not know that we have to protect our books and these will be read by people. So they would just write something and they would just gift it to the king. They would just sing it and leave it. So there are works where the publications or other things are not sure. In this poetry, no title. Abhi tak isse koi question nahi hai. No question from this book. But still title purpose, just remember this. The next, Hanji. Written by? Goddess Venus. The prayer is for Venus. It is for other goddesses also, but primarily Venus is celebrated. The next one, Romaunt de la Rose. English title, Romance of the Rose. इसका भी एक टफ क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है. Romaunt de la Rose. So Romaunt de la Rose was already a French book. It was already in France. It was already written. Chaucer just took it, recreated in a simplified French. So French to French translation hai, but from pure French to simple French, so that English people can understand. Roman de la Rose was already written by these two writers. Jean de Meung, Guillaume Delores. These two writers, so they can ask you this question, it has been asked also, that Chaucer's Roman de la Rose is inspired from. So these two writers, Jean de Meung and Guillaume Delores. इनके नाम याद रखना. These are fact purposes questions, fact oriented, so don't forget these things. Clear? French से ज़्यादा questions नहीं आते हैं. They don't ask questions from French, but if they ask questions, Book of the Duchess and Roman de la Rose, these two books are more important. No need to go for story. It is also the story of an old man telling about some 100+ love stories. Frame narrative hai. Just mention this thing. It is written in frame narrative style. ठीक है. Next, Italian phase. Next phase, Italian phase. What was the timing? Italian phase timing? Yes. Here he has written some great books. The first highly celebrated book, House of Fame. First highly celebrated book, Italian phase, House of Fame. See, technically दो parts हैं इसके, part 1, part 2, based on divine comedy. Based on divine comedy. Part 2 is like blank copy, as it is copy है. The part 2 of House of Fame is ditto copy. सिर्फ ये समझ लो कि उसको पढ़ के उसने as it is वैसा लिख दिया है. But still, let it be. Because at that time there was no system called plagiarism. When you go for research, PhDs, you cannot go for plagiarism. So book has two parts. Part 1 has some 30-20% original things. Part 2 is just a blind copy of Dante's Divine Comedy. So एक तरीके से copy ही है, नकल ही है ये. But ठीक है. It's the ancient timings. At least they are writing at that time. Now you can't go for plagiarism things because if you have 3 words matching. So, anybody tried to write a paper? Plagiarism पता है ना क्या होता है? Reject हो जाता है. When I was writing this Pearson book, so I knew this thing plagiarism नहीं होना चाहिए. So I saw a guidebook because I was checking all the market guidebooks so that I can put things which are not there. So एक देखा मैंने कहा ये तो ditto as it is copied है. So I asked this Pearson guy. I said, sir ये तो आपने कहा copy नहीं होना चाहिए. It should not be copied, 3 words or 4. And I have some book, I don't want to name, it's a camera. But मैंने कहा तो पूरा copy as it is. So he smiled and said, sir, publication check करो. So that was some local publication in some streets. And he said, sir, हमारा publication देखो आप. We have to answer on international levels. So local publications sometimes do this thing, but it may land you in danger. आपने कहीं से copy करके लिख दिया. If you are not popular, it's okay, they'll ignore. The moment you get popular, by chance किताब चल पड़ी, सीधा एक कोर्ट का नोटिस आएगा 10 लाख, 20 लाख, 50 लाख का क्लेम, और उससे ज़्यादा हो सकता है. कोई बहुत पॉपुलर राइटर हो अरुंधति रॉय लेवल पे, तो फिर बहुत बड़ा क्लेम आएगा. So they make sure that nothing is copied. In romantic age, early romantic age, there was a writer, Thomas Chatterton, early age 17-year boy. He wrote 2 books, Rowley Poems Collection, Bristow Tragedy. Both of these books were copied. He was accused of plagiarism, and at that time the magazines, they started criticizing him, talking about him. They took him to a level where he committed suicide. Thomas Chatterton, the poet who died at the age of 17, committed suicide. He was severely criticized, humiliated, accused for plagiarism. बाद में Keats उसको tribute देगा. Later, John Keats gave him some tribute that he was a writer, an innocent one. So at the time, there was no plagiarism. Clear? Now see, House of Fame, the important thing. It is again dream allegory. In the dream, mention this thing. In the dream, Chaucer finds an eagle. Eagle takes Chaucer in the clutches and flies. Chaucer को एक सपना आता है that he has been captured by an eagle, by hawk. कोई बहुत बड़ा पक्षी उसको लेके उड़ गया. And Chaucer को कैसा लग रहा होगा? ऐसे पंजे में फंसा हुआ हवा में उड़ रहा है. Philosophy. He is in the sky, in the heaven actually. Then this eagle drops him at the top of a mountain. Eagle, religious Chaucer drops him at the top of the mountain. Here, Chaucer sees a big castle. Snow-covered castle. बर्फ से ढका हुआ castle. So Chaucer को एक किला दिखता है. A palace which is covered by the snow. Snow-covered castle. When Chaucer enters in this castle, he finds Chaucer has been taken away by an eagle, right? That eagle takes him high in the sky, drops at the top of the mountain. When Chaucer is dropped at the mountain, he looks the surroundings around and finds out that there is a big castle gate. It is covered by the snow. Chaucer enters in that castle. Now when he enters in the castle, he finds a lot of noise, बहुत शोर हो रहा होता है. And 3 different lines. He finds people in 3 different lines. This place was full of sound, noise. बहुत तेज आवाज थी, बहुत शोर था. And there were lines, 3 different lines. First line, we have to mention. So there were a lot of people, they were gathering around this place, and they were made to stand in 3 different lines. There were 3 different lines. The first line, people. The first line, people who wanted to be famous without doing anything. So first line of people, the first group of people, people who wanted to be famous but without doing anything. आज तो बहुत आसान हो गया है बिना कुछ किए फेमस होना. हाँ, इंस्टाग्राम ये भी कलयुग है. फेमस होना है इस वायरल होना. चाहे अच्छी चीज़ के लिए चाहे बुरी चीज़ के लिए. अच्छी चीज़ के लिए वायरल कोई हुआ है आज तक? नहीं ना. बुरी चीज़ के लिए वायरल हो रहे थे. So first thing, be famous. Second line, people who want to work but to be famous. Second line, people who want to work but their target to work is to be famous. Why they want to work? To be famous. नेता, ये सड़क निर्माण मैंने करवाया है. First, people who want to be famous without doing anything. Second, people who want to work but to be famous only. काम तब करेंगे जब नाम हो. काम ऐसा करो कि नाम हो. तो ये सड़क मैंने बनवाई. बोर्ड लगते हैं ना, बोर्ड. Third, people who believe in work and don't want to be famous. Third, people who believe in work and don't want to be famous. So first type of people who want to be famous without doing anything. Second, people who want to work, but the target is to be famous, to be recognized. And third type of people who just believe in their work. They don't want name and fame. Which category is the best one? सबसे अच्छा इंसान कौन है इसमें? Exactly, the third one. जो रात को चोरी करते हो चाहते हैं फेमस हो जाएं? Bank robbers, they just want to work. They don't want to be famous. The one who breaks in your house at 3 a.m., takes your gold away, doesn't want to be famous. He silently believes in work. कर्म ही पूजा है, फेमस नहीं होना है। फेमस हो जाएगा तो सायरन बजते बजते पुलिस आ जाएगी। तो कौन से वाले ज़्यादा अच्छे हैं? सेकंड वाले अच्छे। फिलोसॉफिकली मेरा एग्जाम्पल अलग है, वो जानबूझ के दिया मैंने, बिकॉज इन थ्योरीज यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस दैट देर आर लिटरेचर इज ओपन एंडेड, आपको जो इंटरप्रिटेशन करना आप करो, you cannot control the interpretation. So that was just a funny example, but technically, philosophically, the third one, they are the people who are actually given the fame. So who actually becomes famous? Who doesn't want to be famous. So the fame is given to the third type of people. This is house of fame. Fame is given to them. Fame is given to them. मेरी एक स्टूडेंट अभी आयरलैंड में हो, तो व्हेन शी वाज इन जेएनयू उसने इस पे पेपर प्रेजेंट किया था दैट व्हाई इन क्राइम थिंग्स जो फेसेस हैं, स्पेशली इन मॉलेस्टेशन केसेस में, वो विलन जो लड़के है जो भी है उसका फेस क्यों नहीं दिखाया जाता है? व्हाई दे शोइंग द फेस ऑफ द वुमेन एंड देन इट इज ब्लर्ड? बिकॉज ब्लरिंग द फेस ऑफ द वुमेन इज लाइक टेलिंग हर दैट ओके यू आर नॉट एबल टू शो द फेस. In fact, she should be celebrated as a celebrity. People should stand. And then the face, it should be of the molester. उसका face दिखाना चाहिए. तो ये भी एक mindset है that are we actually supporting this mindset unwillingly? For example, the word horror killing, honor killing. What is the right word? Honor killing word has been eliminated. So now if you're at a prominent stage, do not use the word honor killing. It is horror killing. Because when you use the word honor killing, you are indirectly supporting it. क्योंकि आपने उसमें वर्ड क्या लगाया? ऑनर, सम्मान के लिए मार देना, तो फिर तो वो तो सम्मान आप उसको प्रमोट कर रहे हो. Then it should be called हॉरर किलिंग. जैसे वो विकलांग है तो उसको अब हमने चेंज कर दिया ना, वर्ड्स चेंज हो गए, स्पेशली एबल्ड, दिव्यांग हो गए. सो द वर्ड्स, दिस हाउ द वर्ड हैव देयर ओन फंक्शनैलिटीज. जो सर्वेंट्स हैं, अभी सर्वेंट्स के लिए डायरेक्टली वर्ड कौन यूज कर रहा है? नौकर कोई नहीं बोलता, अभी अवॉइड कर रहे हैं. हाँ, अब कुछ भी बोल दो, हेल्पिंग स्टाफ बोल दो, सर्विंग स्टाफ बोल दो, शॉफर, ड्राइवर को शॉफर बोल देते हैं, और हाउस, हाँ ठीक है, हाँ ठीक है. तो गुड वर्ड्स है ना, सो यू कैन चूज द बेटर वर्ड्स. ठीक है. नाउ फेम इज गिवन टू थर्ड टाइप ऑफ पीपल. ईगल कम्स अगेन, टेक्स चॉसर फॉर अनदर फ्लाइट, एंड दिस टाइम चॉसर is dropped on another mountain, again a castle, snow-covered castle. He's like traveling top of the mountains. He's dropped again in front of another castle. That another castle is snow-covered, and here again it is very noisy. बहुत शोर है यहाँ पे. This place is house of rumors. House of rumors. So all the fake things, fake news, false allegations, all the lies spreaded on earth, these rumors are reaching to this place. So that's the reason this place is noisy. It's like pandemonium, बहुत शोर शराब है यहाँ पे. And this is the place where all the falsehood, चाहे वो religious हो चाहे कुछ भी हो, all the lies, और क्या बोल सकते हैं, all the frauds or wrong meanings or communications, everything, whatever you're doing, spreading a lie, telling a lie, making false promises, all these things are reaching here and they are being noted on your name. It's technically the department that is keeping the account of all the lies you're telling. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे बहुत शोर शराबा है. And this house is like they are having tremors, बेचारा वो, क्योंकि it's too much. This house is not able to hold the falsehood and lies. So the snow is also melting away. तो दिखाता है कि बहुत हो गया, बहुत झूठ बोले जा रहे हैं, और अभी हाउस जो है ये, it is also being overburdened. So it's shaking. हाँ, पापों का घड़ा भर रहा है यहाँ पे, अर्थक्वेक टाइप आ रहा है यहाँ पे. So make sure remember that the message is that if you're spreading a lie, if you're promoting a propaganda, if you're telling something which is wrong, or if you are just helping the falsehood to be promoted, all of these things are being noted. अपने रिलीजन्स में भी तो आपको मैसेजेस होंगे ना, झूठ बोले कौवा काटे। इस्लाम में होता है कि अगर आपने झूठ बोला है तो आपको एक बिच्छू जो है वो काटेगा, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, ग्रेव में, राइट? एक झूठ एक बिच्छू। फिर तो हमारे वाले तो 1000-2000 से ज्यादा ही आएंगे। पर यानी ठीक है, रिलीजन में हर चीज का सॉल्यूशन भी होता है, कुछ भी करो गंगा नहा लो, हैव सॉल्यूशन। ठीक है, यहां पे समझ में आ गया। वंस चौसर इज आउट ऑफ दिस प्लेस, ईगल फाइंड्स हिम and eagle preaches him about happy man philosophy. Important है, this eagle preaches Chaucer about happy man philosophy. This happy man philosophy is also called man in black philosophy. Man in black philosophy. So Chaucer tells him the happy man philosophy is the one who is not greedy of being famous, and the one who doesn't create any propaganda, doesn't spread false word, fake promises. That's the person who lives a good life. So follow moralities, follow religion, do not spread falsehood, propaganda, and do not be greedy for name and fame and money. So ये happy man philosophy है. Why we call it man in black philosophy? It was the dress of the church at that time. Cassock बोलते हैं इसको, a cassock. So कहता है सबसे बढ़िया religious बन जाओ. Cassock, the church dress. Have you seen शक्तिमान? शक्तिमान का विलन याद है? कहाँ अंधेरा कैमरे? नहीं? So that person is wearing a hoodie and black dress, no? That is cassock. So the priests would not show their faces to the commoners. They would think that they are the divine people and they do not show the face to everyone. So that's the religious dress, cassock. Black hoodie dress. Right? Any questions? Next work. Troilus and Cresside. Another famous Italian work based on Trojan reference. Based on Trojan War, Italian Trojan War. It's a love story. See what happens. In the background, it is Trojan War, War of Troy. So it's a simple love story. Troilus was once loved by a goddess. Troilus was once loved by a goddess, but okay, पानी है ना कपिल? एक मिनट, इसको ऐसे मत देखो, इसको सिंपल लाइन में लिख लो. He was cursed by a goddess. इसको कर्स था. Reason? Goddess was in love with him, but Troilus was devoted to nation, to his country. Troilus doesn't respond the love. So the goddess cursed him. Goddess ने उसको curse किया, the way I am after you, and you are ignoring my love. One day you will be in love, and you will be in pain and suffering. You will have the same destiny. As I am not able to have my love, you will also have the same curse. So goddess cursed him, but then he forgot these things. Now Troilus is a warrior away from all these things, not involved in any these kind of emotions. One day, he's riding his horse, he enters in the city, and he finds this girl coming out of the temple of Apollo, Cresside. Cresside is a widow in the story. Please remember, there are many stories. बहुत अलग अलग narrations हैं. This is a changed narration, not exact Trojan narration. Cresside was a widow at that time. He was entering the city, far away from all these things. Goddess wanted to take revenge. because उसने goddess को accept नहीं किया था. So goddess talked to Cupid, the god of love. Cupid hits him with the arrow. Cupid's arrow means you'll fall in love. Cupid hits him with an arrow. So he has been hit. It is a symbolic thing. ऐसा नहीं उसको तीर सच में लगा. मतलब ये है कि now he is going to fall in love. Troilus sees this widow dressed in black coming out of the temple of Apollo, immediately falls in love with Cresside. ठीक है? यहाँ तक समझ में आया? Ask me questions. कहाँ पे confusion है? Temple of Apollo. ये temples होते थे, मैंने ऐसे ही लिख दिया कि वो कहाँ से आ रही थी. इतना ज़्यादा narration चाहिए नहीं वैसे. पुरानी stories हैं. He was in the city. He was already hit by the arrow of this love. Cupid is the god of love. So it is said that if Cupid hits you with the arrow, you'll fall in love. So on the behest of the goddess, Cupid does this thing. Troilus, the moment he sees Cresside, he falls in love. यहाँ तक समझ में आ गया? Cresside is a widow. Cresside denies all the advances. Cresside जो है वो सारे advances cancel कर देती है. Because she is already a widow and doesn't want to get married. Troilus tries the best to win her, but all in vain. Troilus meets Cresside's uncle, Pandarus, first comical character by Chaucer. First comic character, Chaucer's first proper comic character. Uncle of Cresside, मामा होता उसका. Troilus is trying to win the heart of Cresside. But Cresside is very strong-headed and is not responding. Finally, to take help, he talks to her uncle, Pandarus. Pandarus also wants his niece to be settled again. वो चाहता है इसकी शादी वादी हो जाए. So Pandarus becomes a kind of mediator. And through mediation, he makes them talk, he makes them sit together again and again. Like he will invite Troilus, and Cresside is cooking something, then he will disappear so that they can talk, and finally, Cresside is convinced. Pandarus का नाम याद रखना, first comical character. Finally, Cresside is convinced. She accepts the love proposal. Troilus gives her a girdle. Remember, we have talked about girdle. What is that? A symbol of chastity. So a kind of belt. A message is that now you belong to me. So now your loyalty, your chastity is for me. Troilus gifts her a girdle. That's a symbol of love. Token of chastity. Now, they make a plan that they'll be getting married soon. By the same time, as the Trojan War is going on in the background, Troilus is called for war. क्योंकि Trojan War चल ही रहा है background में. So when they are almost making a plan to get married, Troilus is invited to join the war. Country, nation, chivalry, war, it was his first priority. देश के लिए लड़ना, बहादुरी से, and all these things. अभी मैं कुछ दिन पहले जीडी बख्शी सर से मिला था मैं. What a man. Next level. जो मैंने टीवी में देखा ना, उससे अलग पर्सनैलिटी है. First of all, he's very down to earth. मतलब I did not expect that kind of welcome. मुझे लगा बहुत ही फॉर्मल होगा. And अच्छा लगता है ये जान के कि लोग हैं. 46 बुक्स के राइटर हैं. 46 बुक्स. रशिया-यूक्रेन वॉर, द मैसेज वी हैव लर्न्ड. मॉडर्न डे वॉरफेयर, ड्रोन्स का यूज़ किया है. इतनी किताबें हैं, 5 नॉवेल लिखे हैं. Then his son is a merchant navy captain writing some comic things and all. They are experimenting in war literature. Most probably, the moment I get proper timings and all, appointments, I will be posting some podcast with him, war literature पे. हम दोनों का एक ही common point था. Why the Indian war literature is not being talked about? Why? He was reciting the lines of Maharana Pratap. I recited the lines of Subhadra Kumari Chauhan. We got a good tuning, war literature references and all. And this man is knowledge. बहुत अलग level का knowledge है. And what a personality यार. Military man की तो personality अलग होती है. We waited for 15 minutes. But when he came now, he was like, wow. J.D. Bakshi sir. So you know the war heroes, that attitude. So he goes to join the war. He tells his lady that I'll come back, we will get married, keep this girdle, you belong to me, I'll be back. अब war start होता है. When the war starts, somebody gives them a news. A news comes that your city is under attack. तुम्हारे शहर पे हमला हो गया. And the news is that the invading army has killed everyone. So Troilus has left for war. Troilus is away from his city. In between, the invading army has attacked Troilus' city. Troilus talks to the messenger that the kids and the female women, they are taken to the temple of Apollo. It was a system at that time that nobody would attack on the religious places. So these places were the hideouts. So the messenger says, no, they have destroyed the temple of Apollo. They did not leave anybody. They didn't spare anyone. They have killed each and every one. Imagine the mental state of Troilus. वो कहता है सबको मार दिया. So what happens? Troilus के लिए क्या होता है? He is mad in anger. अब ये गुस्से में आ जाता है. And then he drops his shield, takes sword in another hand. He is defenseless. He becomes merciless and is like slaughtering them. क्योंकि उसको लगता है कि बहुत हो गया अब तो. So उसने अपनी शील्ड गिरा दी और दूसरी हाथ में भी तलवार ले ली और ये अपने समय का बाहुबली बन जाता है. फिर सब्जी की तरह, वेजिटेबल्स की तरह. So when he's fighting everybody, nobody is able to match him. Enemy army में इसके सामने कोई है ही नहीं. Nobody is able to match him. So here comes the enemy commander. He says, मैं रोकता हूँ इसको. Diomed comes to match him. उसकी टक्कर में कोई था नहीं. So nobody was able to face Troilus. He was just slaughtering everyone. Diomed comes that I will stop this man. ये गुस्से में पागल है, इसके साथ मैं लड़ाई लड़ता हूँ. Diomed was carrying the same girdle. Diomed ने girdle बांध रखा था घोड़े पे बैठ के ऐसे. Troilus saw the girdle. उसने देखा ये तो मैं अपनी वाइफ को दिखाया हूँ, होने वाली वाइफ को, ये इसके पास है. He jumped to the conclusion that he must have killed her and taken the girdle, maybe as a pride symbol after molesting her. So they fight. Diomed is equally good. They both fight. As Troilus is fighting defenseless, no shield. So he gets mortally wounded. उसको चोट लग जाती है, वो मरने वाला है. So when he falls from his horse and is almost there to die, he starts crying. Troilus cries, why did you kill my woman? Why did you kill my lady? मैंने क्या बिगाड़ा था? जिंदगी में पहली बार शादी करने जा रहा था. I was in love. So Diomed says, excuse me, I didn't kill her. I got married to her. मैं तो शादी करके आ रहा हूँ उससे. मैंने नहीं मारा. किसने बोला तुझे मैंने मारा? I didn't kill her. I got married to her. She has given me this girdle. See, love token. Troilus dies of heartbreak. Troilus जो है heartbreak से बेचारा मर जाता है. उसको कहता है मैंने एक ही ऑप्शन छोड़ा था, either die or marry me. Simple सी बात है फिर. He said, I just gave her one option. She was beautiful. I said, either die or marry me. See, I have got the girdle. So बेचारा Troilus जो है वो मर जाता है. अच्छा सीला वाला गाना गा के. At the end of the story, last scene, पेपर में लिख के मत आ जाना ये जो मैं हंसी मजाक में बोल रहा हूँ. Troilus is in the heaven. He is looking at the earth, laughing, smiling, and cursing women. For being a forever betrayer. वो गाने भी गा रहा है और वो women को curse भी कर रहा है. That women can't be trusted. ठीक है, याद रखना ये लास्ट सीन. नेक्स्ट बुक. The Legend of Good Woman. The Legend of Good Woman. So it is said that Chaucer, after writing that book, he had a dream where the gods and goddesses were very angry that why did you defame women? So Chaucer had a dream. In the dream, he saw gods and goddesses. They were angry. They were having a debate. What to do with this man who has defamed women? तो वो कहते हैं इसको क्या punishment दें? इसने सबको insult किया है, women को insult किया है. So when they were having this debate, Chaucer requests and says that if given a chance, I can praise all the good women. Chaucer wakes up, writes this book, 9.5 characters. Technically 10th बोल सकते हो आप. 9 characters fully developed, then half. All the great women. Jocasta, Hecuba, Medea, Lysistrata, सबके रेफरेंस है. इसको पढ़ना नहीं है, इसको सिर्फ एक ही चीज में याद रखना, that 9.5 character means 9 complete characters, 10th is a half character. But most of these women are either the Trojan War female characters, या तो Trojan characters हैं या फिर biblical characters हैं. So it is just a praise of women. Literary quality नहीं है, doesn't have any literary quality. This work, just one question has been asked. This work is called Palinode, a literary device. This is Palinode, 2 to 3 times questions. This is an example of Palinode. Palinode is when a writer reverts his own ideas. Palinode, when a writer reverts his own ideas written earlier. मतलब जो आपने कहा उसका just opposite कर रहे हो आप. So first you said women can't be trusted, then you are reverting your ideas and you're writing that no, women are trusted and there are great women. So this is Palinode. When you change your own ideas, when you revert your own ideas, that is Palinode. Point to be noted, it's important. But it is just a direct work, no literary quality. In Troilus and Cressida mentioned this thing. Troilus and Cressida was written in rhyme royal. Troilus and Cressida was written in rhyme royal. Mention that thing. And this book is also called grandfather of English novel. Troilus and Cressida. Troilus and Cressida is technically called the first novel. So we can call it grandfather of English novel because of narrative technique. It is written in rhyme royal and it is called the grandfather of English novel. है इटालियन में, लेकिन राइटर कौन है? तो टेक्निक की बात कर रहे हैं. टेक्निक, नॉवेल की टेक्निक होती है. जैसे फॉर यू टॉक अबाउट द पोस्ट मॉडर्न वर्क्स, सो ट्रिस्ट्रम शैंडी द जेंटलमैन इज कॉल्ड द फर्स्ट पोस्ट मॉडर्न वर्क, बट दैट वाज पब्लिश अराउंड 1747-48. तो पोस्ट मॉडर्न तो 1945 के बाद आएगा. इट इज अबाउट द टेक्निक. ऐसा नहीं कि ये इकलौता फर्स्ट नॉवेल है, इसके अलावा भी है. व्हेन आई विल टीच यू यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स, जब आपको यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स पढ़ाऊंगा तो आई विल बी टीचिंग यू द अनफॉर्चुनेट ट्रैवलर, Thomas Nash, Life of Jack Wilton, that is also called first novel. Then Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, that is also called first novel. So it's about technique. ठीक है? Italian के लिए क्योंकि ठीक है writer इटली में Italian language में लिख रहा है, but who is this writer? English writer, and he is going to be the first English writer in England also. So ये English novels के लिए एक reference है that the man who was writing this is the same person who has given us tendencies, ideas, characteristics. Other questions? One last work. कोई क्वेश्चन है किसी का? पार्लियामेंट ऑफ द फाउल्स. नेक्स्ट बुक. It is the assembly of the birds. इस पार्लियामेंट में these people are birds. There is Saint Valentine. He is leading this meeting, this assembly. He is the head of this assembly. He has a white female eagle on his wrist. So this man is sitting and heading the assembly, having a white eagle on his wrist. So it is the assembly of the birds. Saint Valentine is leading this assembly. It is the meeting of the birds. And the purpose of the meeting of this assembly is, the meeting of these birds is to look for a perfect partner for eagle. इसकी शादी है. स्वयंवर. Saint Valentine, head of the, क्योंकि Valentine is the love god of saint of love, संत है. He is sitting, leading the assembly. On his wrist there is a white eagle, and all the birds have come to show the claims. So it's a kind of स्वयंवर. सारे birds one by one आएंगे शादी करने के लिए. So the hawk, eagle, male eagle, then nightingale, cuckoo birds, they all come and they all have their claims. सब कहते हैं कि I am the most powerful, I am the most beautiful, I am the most musical. Have you heard the nightingale singing? Cuckoo bird? You can understand this. I was in Kerala, Silent Valley. So I was mesmerized with a whistling sound. I asked my driver, oh, ये कौन बजा रहा है? उसने बोला bird है. नहीं यार, ये bird नहीं कर सकता. Next level था. It was like music ऐसे हवा में उड़ रहा है ऐसे. So you can know that. You understand this. So all these people, they come and say, I am the best. I am the best. So who should be married to the eagle? सबसे strong bird कौन सा होता है? The strongest bird? Eagle or vulture? Vulture ज़्यादा उड़ता नहीं है ना? Vulture doesn't fly. Hawk भी उड़ता है हाँ. Eagle, hawk. What about this? Ostrich? Doesn't fly. चलो. Hen? Okay. So there is another male eagle. Racism का भी ख्याल रखना. But that eagle just loves her. So the message is that love doesn't need any power, any show off, any power muscle thing, wealth thing, or any claim. So love cannot be won because you have some claims. It is just love needs love, love requires love. Simple. So it's a message. Questions? There is an eagle, male eagle. हाँ. मैसेज ये है, हिडन मैसेज है. हिडन मैसेज यही है कि कोई क्लेम नहीं चाहिए होता है. पहले क्या था, ये आपको फेमिनिज्म में पढ़ना पड़ेगा ना. आपको शादी करनी है द्रौपदी की और आप बोलते हो कि मछली की आंख में जो तीर मारेगा. आप हस्बैंड ढूंढ रहे हो, तीरंदाज ढूंढ रहे हो. हस्बैंड शुड हैव क्वालिटीज ना. वो बोले कि जाओ जी कुछ कमा के लाओ, तो वो छत पे जाके तीर चलाएगा. बता अभी कहाँ से. हाँ, वो पेन लो वाला रेफरेंस है. या ऐसे ही रावण वाले में जो था, मतलब ठीक है, वी शुड नॉट क्वेश्चन थिंग्स लाइक दिस, बट अगेन मसल पावर. अगर आप कुछ उठा सकते हो तो यार हस्बैंड मटीरियल, ऐसा थोड़ी है. बट ठीक है, पुरानी चीज़ें हैं. उस समय लोग अच्छे होते थे ना, तो फिर वो मसल पावर चेक करते थे, क्योंकि बाय हार्ट सारे अच्छे होते थे. बाय हार्ट सारे अच्छे. women were used as a gift, a token. पुराने समय में राजा आपस में दोस्ती करने के चक्कर में शादी कर देते थे. तो वो हाँ, ट्रॉफी वाइफ. पढ़ाऊंगा फेमिनिज्म, खून खोलेगा आपका. चलो ठीक है, यहाँ तक समझ में आ गया. हाँ, तो इसलिए तो होती है. इन फेमस बुक्स, विलियम शेक्सपियर, एंटनी क्लियोपेट्रा, एंटनी मैरीज his friend's wife, Octavia, just because the friendship is formed. But Antony is in love with someone else, Cleopatra. तो Octavia सुसाइड कर लेती है. तो वही चलता है, कुछ नहीं, जाने दो, फिर हम अलग जगह चले जाएंगे. Come back. Point to be noted, important point. This was written on the marriage of. It is actually dedicated to. So it was written the marriage of Richard II. Multiple questions in exam. Richard II की शादी हुई थी with Anne of Bohemia. Richard II got married to Anne of Bohemia. They both were at the age of 14. Wedding took place in the month of Feb. So now you got the concept. Richard II, Anne of Bohemia, Saint Valentine, 14th and Feb. So it was written on the wedding of these people. The next phase is English phase. The next one we have is English phase. See, point, एक चीज याद रखना. If I tell you not to read something, leave that. Okay? I may be wrong, but I'll be wrong for 1 or 2 questions only. But out of 100 questions, I'll be saving your time, energy for 98 questions. So ऐसा होता है, मैंने कहा मत पढ़ो, वो पेपर में आ जाता है. लेकिन वो 1 या 2 questions होंगे, so we are ready to pay that price. But I'll be telling you with each and every writer, every unit, everything. I'll be telling you, don't read this much is okay, itna pad lo kafi hai, no need to go in the depth. Listen to that thing. Otherwise, literature is big. If I teach you these French works with a proper effort, we can take 10 more classes for French works only. So what they are asking in exam, studying for competitive point of view, it's a different approach. We are going to cover the double syllabus that is mentioned in your syllabus. जो सिलेबस आपके सामने है ना यूजीसी का, हम उसे डबल सिलेबस करेंगे, बहुत ज़्यादा लेवल पे करेंगे. उसके लिए वी हैव टू लीव सर्टेन थिंग्स. वी शुड नो व्हाट नॉट टू रीड. वी आर डीलिंग विद द फर्स्ट राइटर, एंड दैट फर्स्ट राइटर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज बेसिकली दैट राइटर इज द इंग्लिश राइटर. सो इंग्लिश वर्क्स आर मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन अदर वर्क्स. But everybody is going to read Canterbury Tales. So what's special in you? So there they can ask some questions from French books, Italian books. If good students are reading all these things, then what's special in you? They can ask you historical details. तो वो Wycliffe आ जाएगा, Lollards का movement जो है, Black Death है. So we have to be smartest. Hard work and smart work. This combination, it will be victory. So if I tell you not to read, please don't read that. ठीक है? ऐसा ना हो कि सर ने मना किया है, but I'm very smart, तो अब मैं इसको पढ़ लूँगा. I know you are smart, but be smart with the work that I am telling you to read. क्योंकि वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा होने वाला है. Next 3 months, you will ask me, sir, what's my name? मैं कहाँ हूँ, मैं क्या कर? क्योंकि work बहुत है. But stick to each and everything that I'm telling you. So let's go for English phase. The famous book, Canterbury Tales. Almost everything they have asked. The first book in English, and this is the confirmation 1388. एक ही किताब है जिसके पीछे scholars पढ़ गए थे. So they found 1388, the Canterbury Tales. Now there is two different books. There are two different books, Canterbury Tales and Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. What was in your syllabus? Mostly prologue ही होता है. What is prologue? Yes, it was a system when they were writing some big book, some great work, some epical work. They would always introduce that work, that my work is about this thing. Prologue means introduction. If it is prose writing, it will be called preface. It's a poetry writing, so it is called prologue, epilogue, prologue, these kind of things. Remember the point. In introduction, Chaucer is going to tell us the crux of the story. Most of the universities have prologue to the Canterbury Tales. There was a question in SET exam. Which book came first? The prologue, obviously, right? So make sure you remember that. Now let's go for the details of the story. One of the most celebrated question. In Prologue to Canterbury Tales, there were some pilgrims, कुछ तीर्थ यात्री थे. They were going to the shrine of Saint Thomas a Becket. Some pilgrims, इसमें बहुत सारे points हैं, so I'll suggest you make all the points. So, questions are asked from everywhere. So the book deals with a journey. It's a kind of travelogue. Chaucer was the first travel vlogger. So it's a kind of travelogue, and these people are pilgrims. They are basically tirthyatri, pilgrims. And their intended target is to go to this place. Very important point. They'll simply ask you this, kahan ja rahe the? So they wanted to go to the shrine of Thomas of Becket. Now the question is, how many pilgrims were there? Here we have to write down the points. How many pilgrims were there? 30. "29 pure pilgrims, only pilgrims. 1 narrator, but also the pilgrim. 1 host, the leader of the group." So this is the confusing thing. That's why people go for 30. If you go for in-depth reading, you'll understand that one person also leaves the journey in the midway, returns, human. एक आदमी journey बीच में छोड़ के भी चला जाएगा. So first thing, 29 pure pilgrims. Then if we add Chaucer as a narrator, that Chaucer was narrator but also traveling with them. So the person, somebody who is traveling with you, tells a story, that doesn't mean he is not a traveler. Traveler तो है ही वो. So एक को और add कर दो. अब इनका एक host था, Harry Bailey. Harry Bailey was the host of that place where they were staying. He was also accompanying them, he was also guiding them. So host is also a traveler. So totally 31 travelers, 31 pilgrims. Now in-depth reading. Cook had 6 attendants, 6 servants. 37. नॉलेज तुम्हें टॉप लेवल होना चाहिए, भले पेपर में 30 कर देना, क्योंकि पेपर में वो 30 आंसर यूजीसी हैज एक्सेप्टेड. बट फॉर नॉलेज पर्पज रिमेंबर दिस थिंग, कुक वाज नॉट ट्रैवलिंग अलोन. 30 लोगों का खाना अकेला थोड़ी बनाएगा, फिर तो उसका पिलग्रिम थोड़ी होगा, तो टॉर्चर हो जाएगा. He had attendants, 6 attendants. When the introduction of the cook starts, 6 attendants have been mentioned. But maybe they are not counting them just because of pure labor class or like this, that they're not being counted in the mainstream. जाने दो, नौकर है तो नहीं गिनते हैं. That can be their reason. But the point is, for advanced level knowledge, 37. Total 6 plus हो जाएंगे. Now, what do you have to answer in exam? UGC has accepted 30. So many of you were already telling me 30. I've explained it, why to go for 30. Because if you keep Chaucer away as a narrator, then okay, then 30. So roundabout में 30 ही आएगा right answer, because UGC has accepted it, it has been asked in exam, so they just marked the right answer 30. So okay, if they are okay with it, it's okay. But you go for some interviews, there you can talk about all these things. Now, this was the old time. So when these people would go for journey, traveling alone was not safe. जब ये लोग journey पे जाते थे, so traveling alone was not safe. So these people would gather somewhere in some hotel. होटल तो क्या था उस समय, मोटल ही होते थे. Inns. Hotels or inns. So they would gather around some area, some hotels, some inn. This journey starts in the month of April. I'll make you write pointers ताकि easy हो जाए आपके लिए. So at that time, People were not traveling alone. Why they were waiting for others? If they ask you a question, why these people are making a list, a group? Because they're all different to each other. They're all strangers. It's just because highway robberies were very frequent, and traveling at that time, traveling alone was not safe. So they would wait at some inn. They would wait for a proper number, and then they would go. So they were waiting for each other in a tabard, in an inn that's called tabard inn. Pointers लिखते जाओ points के साथ. The journey started in the month of April. Where they were staying? The name of the inn was Tabard Inn. Journey started in the month of April. Where were they leading to? Going to? Now the opening line. कहाँ जा रहे थे? थॉमस बेकेट के श्राइन पे जा रहे थे. कहाँ रुके हुए थे? वेटिंग फॉर ईच अदर. Tabard Inn. Then they started their journey in the month of April. Opening line, the first line. April is the month of showers. April is the month of showers. Please remember, this is a very important line, because T.S. Eliot's Wasteland will have a connection with it. April is the cruelest month. Yes. April is the month of showers. So first point, you have noted down why they would wait for each other and why they would go in the group to avoid highway robberies and all these things. Tabard Inn, it was hosted by, the name of the host, Harry Bailey. Harry Bailey was the host of Tabard Inn. Who was leading them? The host, Harry Bailey. All these names are very important. Ready? Now, when they reach to the proper numbers, 30, and the journey starts, when the journey starts, Harry Bailey suggests the idea. So when they reach to proper number and the journey starts in the month of April, Harry Bailey suggested the idea of telling 4 stories by every pilgrim. He says, I have an idea. That's a long way. The journey would be boring, tedious. So let's do something. We tell stories. And it's a long journey. So everyone has to tell at least 4 stories. 2 while going to the journey and 2 while returning. 2 plus 2. 2 when you're onwards, going towards the journey, and 2 when you retreat. 2 when you return. उसने कहा एक काम करो, सब एक एक कहानी सुनाओ. This is very normal thing. You are going in a group, अंताक्षरी खेलते हैं लोग बस में. तो वैसे इन्होंने बोला कहानी सुनाओ. 4 stories by everyone. So who suggested the idea? It can be a question. Who gave the idea that the travelers, pilgrims will be telling a story one by one? Now, how to select the first storyteller? How to select the first storyteller? ये भी question आएगा. Who was the one? Anybody who remembers? नहीं, Knight is first storyteller. That is right answer. But how they were selected? क्योंकि अगर हमने ये नहीं point देखा, तो everybody would say that yes, in the presence of king, nobody else can speak first. So king first storyteller. Chaucer must have selected the king first. But no, there is equality. So they went for lottery. Drawn the lots. Lottery निकाली गई. जैसे बचपन नहीं क्रिकेट खेलते थे, ऐसे हाथ में डंडियां होती थी. The biggest stick, एक ले लो करके. So the lots were drawn. Knight becomes the winner. So technically, obviously, Chaucer ने knight को ही जितवाया है, but थोड़ा सा equality के साथ. पब्लिक को लग रहा है कि नहीं इक्वालिटी है, ठीक है. सो थ्रू द लॉटरी नाइट बिकम्स द फर्स्ट स्टोरी टेलर. Night, first storyteller. Then, who is the last storyteller? Parson, the one who ends the story. It is called, this man is called poor parson. Parson is the last storyteller. अब ये बहुत सारे facts हैं. Then we'll go for their stories and characters, but we have to go for facts first, all these facts. So the first storyteller, the knight, the last storyteller is the parson. What was the original plan? How many stories were supposed to be written in the book? One? If you say 31, then 31 by 4. If you take 31, original idea was to write 124 stories. If we say 30, if I have to ask a question, I'll simply say the same thing. If Chaucer had 30 pilgrims, how many stories were supposed to be told? 4 by everyone, so total 120. That was the original plan. So technically the original plan, it could have been 124 or 120, but at last, only 24 stories were written. So plan was big, but he couldn't complete it. So we have only 24 stories. We have only 24 stories. They can ask you how many stories are completed in Canterbury Tales. Only 24. And out of these 24, 22 complete, 2 incomplete. 2 incomplete. 22 stories complete, 2 incomplete. ये भी याद रखना है. And I'll teach you कौन कौन सी story incomplete है. एक तो हैरी बेली खुद बंद करवा देगा. Chaucer's story was incomplete. Harry will say, please stop, for God's sake, बहुत हो गया, मत सुनाओ. तो एक तो वही बंद हो जाएगी. Then, out of these 24 stories, how many stories are in prose? "22 are in poetry form. 2 stories are in prose. As Chaucer is the first poet, celebrated poet, so in Canterbury Tales, 22 stories are in rhyming form, poetry form. Only 2 stories are written in prose form. Parson's Tale is in prose. Chaucer's Tale is in prose. ये भी पूछा जा सकता है कितने पोइट्री फॉर्म में है कितने प्रोज फॉर्म में है. Chaucer's Tale is in prose. Clear? How many stories we have finally? 24. How many storytellers are there? We have totally 24 stories. How many storytellers are there? 30 storytellers telling 24 stories. If we have 30 storytellers, then it means everybody has spoken at least one thing, one story. It should have been 30. नहीं. 24 stories told by 23 people. Only 23 pilgrims tell the story. Rest का number ही नहीं आता. अच्छा है ना, नहीं सिलेबस और बड़ा हो जाता तो और पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Point to be noted, 24 stories, but the narrators are only 23. It means one of them told 2 stories. Who other than Chaucer? Chaucer tells 2 stories. कल ये याद करके आना अच्छे से, बहुत क्वेश्चंस पूछूंगा मैं. कल के लिए मेरे पास रैपिड फायर के लिए क्वेश्चंस ही क्वेश्चंस हैं. Who told two stories? How many storytellers were there? Final story कितनी थी? So Chaucer told two stories. Simple reason was that first story was boring. So Harry stopped him. That please stop it. Then tell something else. So then Chaucer goes for another story. This is how we have two stories told by Chaucer. वो आपको बता देता हूँ, अभी लिख लो हाँ तो. Tale of Thopas and Tale of Melibea. Tale of Thopas, Tale of Melibea. Both are good stories. Clear? Any questions? More facts. यहाँ तक ठीक है? Any questions? Which was? वो बाद में बताऊंगा. अभी we are going for facts. अभी क्या है ना देखो, this is Canterbury Tales. अभी हम लोग यहाँ घूम रहे हैं. So I have to make sure that you're prepared with each and everything. Then we'll go for characters. क्योंकि frame narrative है. अभी we are dealing with main बाहर वाला story. Then we'll go for their tales. वहाँ से बहुत questions आते हैं. उनके characters की कहानी के अंदर से questions आएंगे. ठीक है? Let's go for next one. So what was the last point we talked about? हाँ, two tales. Chaucer wrote two tales. Let's go for characters. How many female characters? Wife of Bath, nun prioress, second nun. First two characters are very important for exam. Wife of Bath तो बहुत important character है. The good Madam Bath, the good wife of Bath. पूरी कहानी बहुत important, it's very important. The nun prioress, her table manners. She used to speak French. She had a nasal voice. She was conscious about table manners. She was conscious about the latest fashion, jewelry. ये सब पढ़ाएंगे इसमें. ये बहुत important character है. First thing, 3 female characters. So they ask you a question, how many female characters were there? 3 female characters. Then, how many religious characters were there? After 3 female characters, religious characters, total 8. 8 religious characters. Monk, pardoner, summoner, friar, parson, nun prioress, second nun, female, nun's priest. Okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 religious characters. याद रखना as it is. हाँ, nun है ना, nun. We're talking about religion, religious. हाँ तो फीमेल रिलीजियस हो सकती है ना. फीमेल रिलीजियस है यहाँ पे. वैसे रिलीजियस नहीं है वो, एकदम नहीं है. बट हर प्रोफेशन इज रिलीजियस, बाय नेचर वो रिलीजियस नहीं है. शी इज मोर कॉन्शियस अबाउट लेटेस्ट फैशन. उसे ये सोसाइटी में क्या चल रहा है, हाउ टू लुक एलीट क्लास, हाउ टू डू द शो ऑफ थिंग्स. नन्स प्रीस्ट. हाँ, नन्स प्रीस्ट. नन प्रीस्ट बोलते उसको. नन प्रायरेस. प्रायरेस मीन्स अ प्रिंसेस. So she was a princess. When you become a nun, when you join nunnery, you are no more princess. But she was always conscious about this thing that I come from royal family. I should be respected. I should have attendants. So second nun, nun priest, इसके साथ नौकरी करते हैं. They are serving her. The most important characters from exam point of view: pardoner, summoner, nun prioress, nun priest, parson. Nun's priest male है, second nun female है. Most important one: pardoner, summoner, nun's priest, nun prioress. Don't worry, if it is something very important, I'll teach you. वो मेरा काम है. ये as it is मिलेगा आपको. But I'm telling you कि इनमें से बहुत important questions कैसे आते हैं. Pardoner, बहुत corrupt आदमी था. So he would go to places and villagers and they would talk that you have committed a sin, buy the pardon. Pardon खरीदो. So as I told you that they were forcing people to offer their cattle, offer their women. This pardoner would get drunk before telling the story. And then once he's high, he will tell the story that I'm not a pardoner. I failed in my exams. I did not complete my degree. So that's the reason I do not pardon people around the church. I go to the remotest areas where nobody can nab me. फिर ये समनर है, इसको खाने पीने का बहुत शौक है, ग्लटनी से सफर कर रहा है. Chaucer will talk about spices, garlic, onions for his food. फिर nun priest ये अलग character है, nun prioress, all the show of things, fashion all. We'll talk about these things. This man is good. ये अच्छा इंसान है. Next, good characters by Chaucer. Because most of these characters have been satirized. Chaucer attacks all of these characters. But we should know who are the good characters who have been praised by Chaucer. The knight, the clerk of Oxford, also called the student, poor parson, plowman, or you can say the peasant. एक किसान, parson is the lowest authority of church. Church का सबसे छोटा बंदा, lowest authority of the church. The clerk of Oxford, student है, only concerned about education, learning, knowledge. Knight is a good man. He takes care of his people, his country. He fights for holy things. So knight is a good man. So the point to be noted, all of these characters, only these 4 characters have been praised. Rest all criticized. These 2 characters are brothers. This is also a question out of all these characters. Who are the brothers? So plowman and parson are brothers. It means the farmers are honest and the lowest authority of church, they are honest. Then the royal class. Parson and plowman are brothers. Done? Then the royal class. The characters from the royal class. The knight himself, the squire, the yeoman. 3 characters are from royal class. Who? तो है ना princess, but वो nun है ना, religious है वो. She was a princess by birth, not a nun by birth. So princess वो है, but here she is representing the religious class. Because if you add her as a princess, then all things, whatever she is doing, it will not be taken in a wrong way. If you'll say princess है, show off कर रही है, तो फिर क्या गलत है? But if you say that she is a nun, devoted to God, and then she believes in showing off, class consciousness, jewelry, money, and all these things, then it is wrong. You know about this Devdasi Pratha? What is Devdasi? Married to? Melancholy man. Devdas or Devdasi? I'm talking about Devdasi. Not talking about Sharat Chandra Chatterjee's Devdas. वो 1917 का epic है. वो अलग चीज है. उसका 1917 publication है The Greatest Bengali Epic Devdas, Sharat Chandra Chatterjee. I am talking about Devdasi. Yes, devoted to God, married to God, Akhand Saubhagyavati, because the God is never going to die. So forever married. It was a system earlier, it is a system nowadays also, but not that much, that these girls are sent to the temples or their gurukuls and they become the devdasis. They are educated, they serve the God, they stay there, they live there, and then they die like devdasis, right? Tamil Nadu के सबसे famous मंदिर में नाम नहीं लेना चाहिए मुझे तो it is 3000 plus devdasis are registered devdasis हैं. But when you go in the depth, when you go for reality, so you'll find out they are being used for prostitution. My friend Abhishek presented a paper on this Devdasi system. Raju the guide, Raju, Rosie, remember? Rosie's mother was a Devdasi. उसके पेपर से ही पढ़ा था मैंने ये सारी डिटेल्स. It is there. बहुत जहाँ पे जितना ना मंदिर से यार जो रिलीजियस चीज़ें हैं. सेम थिंग हैज हैपेंड इन क्रिश्चियनिटी. नन्स का है, केरला का फेमस केस है. There are so many controversies related to it. Yes. Recently केरला में भी हुआ था अभी. Some nun accused some father of molestation and all. So ये system है. Let's not dive deep in this thing. ठीक है, इसमें ज़्यादा नहीं जाएंगे. But the point is, अच्छी चीज़ों के साथ साथ बुरी भी कहीं ना कहीं होती हैं. दीपक तले अंधेरा. So not everybody is going through that, but with all these good, the bad lies there. तो कहीं ना कहीं वो होता है. Same thing happens here. We're taking the reference of nun prioress. So she became nun. Nun prioress became a nun. Simple thing, you are married to God, you are the server of the God. You should not be having any greed, any connection with mortal life, materialistic life. But this nun is not only conscious about class, that she is a royal person. She shows it to everyone by following table manners. वो normal खाना नहीं खाती है, table manners के साथ खाती है. Then she is wearing a brooch where there is a line, amor vincit omnia, love conquers all. Then she pretends that she comes from a great dynasty because she speaks French. वो जानबूझ के French बोलती है. So she is a princess, but connected to nunnery to expose the corruption of church. बाबा बन जाने से बाबा सच में बाबा नहीं बन जाता है. बाबा बोलते हैं ना कि ये सब छोड़ दो, धन वन जो है, और बाबा के पास खुद लग्जरी गाड़ी होती है. तो ये वो वाले नन प्रायरस है. Chaucer is attacking everybody. बाबा बिजनेस इज वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग बिजनेस, बट नॉलेज होना चाहिए, पब्लिक डीलिंग होनी चाहिए, नॉलेज होना चाहिए. मेरा भी सेकंड ऑप्शन यही है. थोड़ा बहुत हिंदी आती है, थोड़ा इंग्लिश है, लिटरेचर दोनों तरफ के पढ़ रखे हैं, हैंडल कर ही लूँगा. कुछ 10-20 लाख में से कोई ज्वाइन करना चाहे तो कर लेना. हाँ, जैसे वो नहीं बोलता खड़ा हो जाओ तो वो उठ जाता है चेयर से. फंसेंगे तो फंसेंगे. यू शुड नो हाउ टू हैंडल. ओके, कहाँ पे थे हम? मेरे फ्यूचर करियर के अलावा. ओके, द रॉयल कैरेक्टर्स वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट. Nun prioress we have talked about, right? So total these characters are there. Now, we have to write some more facts. एक second. Royal character, religious character, and other things we have done, right? Okay, now put the title, The Tales. Famous tales. पहले इनके टेल्स के नाम लिख लो, कौन कौन से नाम याद रखने हैं. So these are the famous tales which have been asked in exam. Knight, he tells the story of Sir Palamon and Archite. Sir Palamon and Archite, most celebrated story है. So Knight, the first storyteller, tells us the tale of Sir Palamon and Archite. Tells us the tale of Sir Palamon and Archite, based on Boccaccio's Tessida. ये कहानी किस पे based है? It is based on Boccaccio's Tessida. Boccaccio's short story Tessida. Boccaccio's short story Tessida. It is based on Boccaccio's short story Tessida. Now the point. This story was used by Shakespeare. Who knows it? Knight's Tale. एक ही बात है. Boccaccio की कॉपी की नाइट में चौसर ने. This story was picked up by Shakespeare in a famous book. Same story, sir. Palamon Arcade. Okay, wait. I'll tell you the story first. पहले story समझ लो. Palamon Arcade are best friends. They are warriors. They are fighting in a war. They are taken prisoners. Palamon Arcade, दोनों को जेल में ले जाते हैं. In the jail, they happen to see a princess Emily. They both fall in love with her. Now they are best friends, but now as they both are in love with same girl, they have a jealousy for each other. They harbor jealousy. Arcade forms the friendship with others, joins the another team, becomes the bodyguard of Emily. Palamon is still suffering, is in the prison. Emily, Palamon, they fall in love. Emily loves Palamon, but then what happens through dramatic story है, Arcade challenges Palamon for a fight. वो बोलता है चलो मुझसे fight कर लो और जो भी जीतेगा वो शादी करेगा. So in Shakespeare, it is a more dramatic story. Palamon is in the jail. He's not getting enough to eat. So Arcade gives him 15 days that eat, do all the exercise, get ready for fight. खाना वाना खा लो अच्छे से. So after 15 days, they fight. और शेक्सपियर का story dramatic story है. Arcade wanted to win the war. So he praised the goddess that I want to win the war. Palamon praised the goddess to marry the girl, Emily. Emily praised the goddess to be married to the one who loves her. तीनों की wish grant हो जाती है. So how is it possible? Palamon, Arcade are going to fight, and the one who will win, उसकी शादी होगी Emily से. What are their wishes? Arcade wants to win so that he can marry Emily. Palamon wants to marry the girl Emily. And what is Emily's wish? The one who loves the most, जो उससे ज़्यादा प्रेम करता है. तीनों की wish एक साथ granted है. 3 of these wishes were granted together. How? Arcade wins the battle. Arcade defeats Palamon. 1 wish granted. Then he rides the horse and starts celebrating. Falls, dies. Palamon, he lost the battle, but he wins. Emily, एक ही बचा है तो वही है फिर who loves the most? Palamon. So it gets married. But this is happy ending by Shakespeare. Chaucer's Night Tale, both of them die. Tragedy है ये. Chaucer's Night Tale, Palamon Arcade is a tragedy. They both die. They both die. Shakespeare wrote Two Noble Kinsmen. Shakespeare's Two Noble Kinsmen is based on Chaucer's Knight's Tale. Point ऐसे याद रखना. Chaucer's Knight's Tale inspired Shakespeare to write Two Noble Kinsmen. Yeah, Two Noble Kinsmen is based on Chaucer's Knight's Tale. Chaucer के Night Tale पे based है. Clear? जो हैप्पी एंडिंग है ना वो शेक्सपियर की हैप्पी एंडिंग है, नॉट चॉसर्स. Parson's Tale, very important, multiple question. Parson's Tale is not a tale but a sermon. Point to be noted. If they ask you a tricky question that out of all these tales, which tale is actually not a tale? कौन सी स्टोरी नहीं है? Parson. What is sermon? उपदेश, preachings, didacticism. तो जब हम उपदेश देते हैं, it is actually a speech, religious speech. It is preaching, उपदेश. It is not a story, no suspense, no plot. So technically it is being counted as a tale, but it is not a tale. So ऐसे ही पूछ सकते हैं, pick the odd one out. So if you happen to see Parson, it is in prose, so वैसे भी odd one हो जाएगा. If Chaucer is also there, then just remember it is not a tale, it is just a preaching, a sermon. ठीक है, ये उपदेश है, कहानी नहीं है. Next, the important tales. Tale of Thopas, which is objected, stopped, and then Tale of Melibea, which is good one. Two tales. Thopas, boring, objected. Tale of Thopas was modeled upon Arthur's style, but Chaucer was telling a boring story. You can mention it. Who stops him? Harry Bailey. Harry Bailey says, stop करो, बहुत है. I'll make you write the lines. वो बोलता है बहुत हो गया, बस करो, खुदा के लिए बंद करो प्लीज. इतनी बेकार स्टोरी कैसे सुना सकते हो? बट उससे पहले चौसर ने बोला भी था दैट आई हैव अ शॉर्ट वेट, आई कम फ्रॉम साउथ वर्क एंड आई विल से अ लिटिल थिंग इन प्रोज. तो उसने कहा था मुझे स्टोरी सुनानी नहीं आती है. सो चौसर इज बीइंग हम्बल. ही हिमसेल्फ इज द राइटर ऑफ एवरीथिंग, बट देन हिज ओन स्टोरी इज बिलो स्टैंडर्ड. सो ही इज जस्ट बीइंग हम्बल. खुद की स्टोरी को जीरो स्टैंडर्ड पे रखा है. टेल ऑफ मेलिबी इज द गुड वन, बट नो क्वेश्चंस. They just ask about the structure of these things. Which one is poetry, which one is prose, which one was objected. ये points याद रखना. Then, the tale by nun priest. Nun priest tale. No. First one is in poetry, second one is in prose. Chaucer tries in poetry, but then he shows that I don't know how to say poetry. Then he goes for prose. He's showing that he's humble. उसे poetry नहीं आती है. Then the nun's priest. His tale is very important tale. Chanticleer. हाँ जी, इसलिए बहुत important है. बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. Chanticleer and the fox. ओल्ड इंग्लिश है इसलिए ई लगाया मैंने. Chanticleer and the fox. It's archaic E. Chaucer called it final E. When I will complete Chaucer, then I'll teach you some style and patterns he has used in writing. Rim, ram, raw, final E. So ये आपको पढ़ाऊंगा उस टाइम में. What is E? Extra E. Then who was using this E? Dunn, Ben Jonson, उनके connections. FOXE. हाँ, अब राइटिंग थोड़ी खराब है यार, क्या करूँ. पहले बुरा लगता था, फिर साइकोलॉजी पढ़ी तो उसमें लिखा था कि जिनका दिमाग तेज होता है उनकी राइटिंग खराब होती है, तो फिर अच्छा लगा मुझे. कितने लोगों की राइटिंग खराब है मेरी तरह? 1 2 3 4. हाँ, इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ साइकोलॉजी ना. इफ यू थिंकिंग वेरी फास्ट, आई एम थिंकिंग ना, मुझे नेक्स्ट क्या बोलना है, नेक्स्ट पढ़ाना है, तो मेरा दिमाग जो लिखने पे नहीं है, मेरा दिमाग नेक्स्ट पे क्या है, हाउ टू connect it in a story format so you understand things. See, Chanticleer and the Fox, it's the first beast fable used in English literature. पहली animal story है, animal fable, beast fable. Right word, beast fable. I'm writing it animal fable, but the right word is beast fable. The first beast fable in English. So that's what's very important. इससे पहले Renard the Fox. It was a beast fable in Anglo-Saxon. No author, no writer, no connection. Renard the Fox, the first Anglo-Saxon beast fable. But in English, Canterbury Tales के अंदर, so this is the first beast fable. Now what is beast fable? Where the characters are animal. We have read these things, childhood, magazines, Nandan, बालहंस कहानी पढ़ी होंगी ना आपने. चंपक was a good one. बंद होगी ना वो? बंद होगी आती है. चीकू खरगोश. The Jungle Book is a kind of beast fable. So you must have read these kind of stories. हाँ, पंचतंत्र, विष्णुदत्त शर्मा की कहानी. हाँ, that's a pre schools में है ये, elementary schools में, 18 countries के. बेन जॉनसन की beast fable है. Yes, Volpone, 1605. ठीक है, beast fable, animal imagery, animal life, and mostly these African literature also uses beast fable. In African literature, just take a reference, point बना लो. And in African literature, beast fable is called trickster. Japanese literature, manga. Manga comics से आती ना. Small animal outwitting the large animal, the big animal. जैसे छोटे से खरगोश ने शेर को बेवकूफ बनाया. There was a story. A rabbit goes to the tiger and says that there is another tiger. So the tiger follows him, and then he takes him to the pond. There is a reflection, his own image. That tiger jumps in the pond, dies. So a small animal outwitting the bigger animal. These kind of stories in African literature are called trickster, and overall beast fables in Japanese literature called manga. Why we are talking about African and Japanese? It is in your syllabus. Haiku poetry, haikai no ranga, kabuki, no drama. ये सारा Japanese literature पढ़ना पड़ेगा हमें. Questions आते हैं यहाँ से. African तो भरा हुआ है. African American authors around 35. वो writers पढ़ने होंगे. इस बार भी पेपर में क्वेश्चन था. As it is उन्होंने पैराग्राफ दिया था लैंगस्टन ह्यूजेस का, जेम्स बॉल्डविन की लाइंस आई हैं. क्वेश्चन था ये. ठीक है, let's go for next one. So please don't forget that tale by nun priest. Then nun prioress. Nun prioress tale deals with Satan. It is not the title, I'm just telling you. So इसको title में लिखना. Her tale deals with Satan and Jews. So Chaucer tells us that the issue of Jews and Christians was still going on. So these tales are letting us know the history of that time. Through these tales, we get to know the history of that time. Nun prioress, she tells a tale about a small boy, a Christian boy. So a boy of some 9-year, 10-year boy, he was singing a song. O Alma, redemptive soul. He was singing this song. Satan doesn't like it. He was a Christian boy. Satan doesn't like it. That why this man is singing the praise of goddess, why this kid, a small kid, is praising the goddess. Satan se bardasht nahi hota hai. So what does Satan do? Satan, in the disguise format, like he's not visible, and Satan जाके क्या करता है? It just drops his voice, he whispers in the ears of Jews, kill him. बस दिमाग में डालता है, kill him. मार दो उसे, kill him. The Jews are there, and the moment Satan has told them to kill, these people, they go and kill that boy. The boy is dead. They hide his body in a grave, like they hide him somewhere. He's being buried. Now it's been many hours. When the kid doesn't return, his mother, she starts looking for him. Soon she doesn't find him, so she prays the goddess. So when she prays the goddess, she hears the song, O Alma, redemptive soul. She hears her son singing this song. She follows the sound, then finds the grave. The boy is still singing in the grave, and the grave is dug up, and when they dig it, they find the boy alive singing the song. It's a religious message. Point, it's very important because it is talking about the issue of Jews and Christians. So ये इस तरह की tales जरूर आपको याद रखनी है. The next one. Characters की कहानियाँ plus इनकी personalities, ये बहुत important है. The good wife of Bath. Alison, good wife of Bath. So when we'll talk about this character, we'll tell you a lot of other important things. She was married for 5 times. the most important thing that is being read, being celebrated now. She is called the first feminist. Five times married. Chaucer calls it adultery. Chaucer criticizes it, that this woman was marrying again and again, again and again. We had a question at that time when I was talking about this. But what does she call these marriages? Experience. What do you think? क्या बोलना चाहिए? Whose idea was that? You? हाँ, वो experience बोल रही है. She says it's not adultery, it's experience. At that time, she was being criticized. I'm sure professors 30 years back, 40 years back, they would have taught the students like this, कि देखो पहले से ही ऐसा हो रहा था, समय खराब है. At least I'm not in that line. Point is, she is living her life on her terms. Right? So वो उसका problem है, उसे अच्छा लग रहा है, बुरा लग रहा है, उसका है. Who are we to judge and make opinions? हमें क्यों बोलना है? देखो एडल्ट्री वर्ड भी मेल नहीं बनाया ना. एडल्ट्री वर्ड है ही नहीं मेल के लिए, इट्स फॉर फीमेल ओनली. द वर्ड एडल्ट्री वर्ड दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आर द पार्ट ऑफ फेलोगोसेंट्रिसिज्म. phallus controlling the language structure. जिसके पास ताकत है उसने वर्ड्स बना दिए. Why करवा चौथ is only for women, not for man? किसने बनाया है? Who was the first person who made the plan? कौन सा फर्स्ट पर्सन होगा जिसने बोला होगा व्रत रखो हमारे लिए? किसी फीमेल ने तो नहीं कहा होगा कि सुन कल से तू भी भूखी रहना. नहीं, किसी मेल नहीं बोला होगा. तो डिवोशन दोनों तरफ देखा है, रेयर होता है, रेयर होता होगा, अच्छी चीज है, होना चाहिए, बट कस्टमरी नहीं बनना चाहिए ना. सी द पॉइंट इज सून इन लिटरेचर इंट्रोडक्शन ओनली. अभी तो फिर क्या ही बोलूं मैं, इट्स इंट्रोडक्शन, बट आई विल टेक यू टू दैट लेवल. यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि सब मोह माया है, सब फेक है, इट्स ऑल फेक. Plato said the same thing earlier. We are being, we are keeping our knowledge and we are educating ourselves on a base which is a lie, a big lie. ये सब बनाए गए हैं. कितने रिलीजन्स में रिलीजियस बुक्स फीमेल ने लिखी? नहीं, क्यों? 50% है ना, तो यार कोई तो होना चाहिए. Why there is no religious book written by a woman? क्योंकि सिंपल है, they were not given that rights, that much rights to speak, to talk, to say things. So they were always being controlled. The depiction of female characters is done by the male authors. Why these modern feminist studies are going for the main studies, gynocentric studies? They're going for the same thing. How a beautiful female character is being narrated. It's by a male writer. पद्मावती का रूप सौंदर्य वर्णन किसने किया था? मलिक मोहम्मद जायसी ने. So the male perspective है ना. The male perspective. शेक्सपियर की फीमेल कैरेक्टर्स वॉइला या रोजालिंड, वो तो मेल कैरेक्टर जो है, मेल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है. द पॉइंट इज दैट इवन इफ द वुमेन हैव बीन सेलिब्रेटेड, इट इज द अथॉरिटी ऑफ द मेल टू जस्टिफाई दैट. सो इफ द मेल राइटर इज राइटिंग दैट यू आर लुकिंग गुड, यू आर लुकिंग गुड. सो वेयर इज योर ओन से? आपका अपना जो बोलने के लिए वो कहाँ है? सो वाइफ ऑफ बाथ वाज इनिशियली क्रिटिसाइज्ड. नाउ शी इज हाईली सेलिब्रेटेड बिकॉज she was married for 5 times. Now using the word adultery, the word prostitute, slut, or these words are simply the example of phallocentrism. Slut word किसी आदमी के लिए आता है? मेल के लिए आता है? नहीं आता. Prostitute मेल के लिए आपको अलग से बोलना पड़ेगा, मेल prostitute. क्यों? उसको अलग से बताना पड़ेगा. So these words, prostitute word was coined in a famous book, Woman Hater, उसमें coin हुआ था. तो ये सारे words ना बना दिए गए हैं to control women. There was a writer, Norman Mailer. So he wrote that women are all weak, women are always confused, they never speak about their sexuality, they never talk about these things. So it was replied by Kate Millett. Kate Millett wrote Sexual Politics. She said, you people have never allowed us to speak. कुछ बोलना शुरू करेंगे तो allegations लगा दोगे, तो क्या बोलें? So this is actually happening, ना हो चुका है. Now they are saying that we need a female poetics, a world of our own. तो इस तरह की बात हो रही है कि हमें हमारा literature दो, where the heroine is not just an object for being kidnapped, saved by the hero. 90% बॉलीवुड मूवीज में हीरोइन का क्या रोल है? बस उसको बचाओ, वो किडनैप होने के लिए है, शी इज वेटिंग टू बी किडनैप्ड, फिर डाकू आएंगे, फिर हीरो जाएगा. व्हाई? ऐसा क्यों नहीं हो रहा है कि हीरोइन को किडनैप किया और हीरोइन उनको पीट के खुद ही वापस आ गई, हीरो आराम से घर बैठा है, हीरोइन कह रही डोंट वरी आई विल हैंडल. वो एक्सेप्शनल एक आधी मूवीज में ना, नाउ बिकॉज पीपल आर कॉन्शियस अबाउट दीज थिंग्स. सो ये पहले से ही चल रहा है और इसको नाउ पीपल आर बीइंग दे आर क्वेश्चनिंग इट. बट फ्रेंकली मुझे लगता है बहुत आसान नहीं है टू अचीव द टारगेट्स ऑफ फेमिनिज्म. इट्स नॉट दैट इजी. एम्मा वॉटसन, द हॉलीवुड हीरोइन, she is the brand ambassador of female rights, UNO. So when she was delivering a speech, she went for a slogan, he for she. She said that we need men to support our cause. But when she went for this slogan, the radical feminists attacked her. That our fight is against men, a world of our own. And why are you looking for their support? So this is not, and it's not only the modern, postmodern thing. In Greek writings, ancient writings, Aristophanes wrote Lysistrata. Lysistrata is the first book that deals with the sex war. The people, male, are going for war. Peloponnesian War is going on. Female, they don't want their husband, their lovers to go for war because they are paying the price. When these people, they die, somebody's husband is dead, somebody's brother is dead, somebody's son is dead. So they make a decision that if you do not listen to us and you do not stop this war, we will not love you. We will not give any favors, will not be together. In short, we are we, you are you. The male says we don't need you. हमें नहीं चाहिए. It becomes the first sex war, Peloponnesian War. तो ये पहले से चल रहा है. But then advanced level पे, you want to write तो write, लिख सकते हो. The famous book Lysistrata. I'll teach you this in Greek literature by Aristophanes. Shulamit Firestone जो है ना, उनकी बुक है 1972 की है, डायलेक्टिक ऑफ सेक्स. शी सेज दैट टू अवॉइड स्लेवरी, द फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू हैव टू से नो टू मैरिज. वो विमेन को बोलती है कि अगर आपको अपनी आइडेंटिटी बचा के रखनी है, स्लेवरी से बचना है, तो फर्स्ट थिंग इज से नो टू मैरिज. एलिजाबेथ डिडंट मैरी. अगर एलिजाबेथ की शादी हो जाती तो हस्बैंड का नाम आ जाता. सो एलिजाबेथ नेवर मैरिड. शी सेड ना, आई विल रादर हैव अ मिस्ट्रेस देन अ मास्टर. Aristophanes, famous book Lysistrata. ठीक है? So wife of Bath, her tale is very important. Anybody who's read Wife of Bath's tale? वो बोलते हैं इसमें, हाँ बताओ. हाँ बहुत बढ़िया. बहुत बढ़िया, perfect. So it was the King Arthur's court. So this knight is brought for molestation. Queen says that you will be killed, but just one condition to be pardoned. You give me the answer. What is the most desirable thing for a woman? The ultimate desire, the most final desire. And you have 1 year to find out the answer. So the knight goes for a journey, meeting a lot of women, talking to them, asking the question. So what is that thing? This is desired by the woman and the most. So people sometimes say wealth, somebody says beauty, somebody says love. So all these answers are there, but he's not able to reach to the final answer. So when he returns, almost days are finished. He finds a group of women. They are fetching water from the well. So he finds an old hag, old clumsy woman. एक बूढ़ी सी औरत मिलती है उसको. So he says that she looks experienced, so I should talk to her. तो वो उसको बोलता है, मैम आप बताओ. You tell me. She says, I'll tell you the answer, right answer, perfect answer. But the condition is marry me. शादी करो मुझसे. First he's like hesitant, फिर उसे लग रहा है कि it's better than to be dead. मरने से तो better ही है शादी कर लूँ. So he says fine, I'll marry you. So he marries the old woman. उसे शादी हो जाती है. So when they're together, he says, give me the answer. Tell me, now I'm married. She says, I'll answer you, but you answer my question first. पहले मुझे एक answer दो, then I'll answer you. So she says, my question is, what do you want? A woman who is true, who is fair but not loyal, or a woman who is not fair but loyal? तो कहता मुझे ये बताओ, तुम्हें कैसी वाइफ चाहिए? जो फेयर हो, बहुत खूबसूरत हो, लेकिन लॉयल ना हो, या एवरेज हो लेकिन ठीक है, लॉयल. सो ही सेज कि हाँ ठीक है, इवन इफ नॉट फेयर बट लॉयल, आई वांट दिस वाइफ. देन शी सेज किस मी. सो व्हेन ही kisses her, she becomes a beautiful woman and then tells the answer. So what is that answer? कहानी, तुम्हें कहानी पता, आंसर नहीं पता? हस्बैंड हाँ में हाँ मिलाए, हाँ ऐसा ही आंसर है. तुमने पूरी कहानी बताई है, आंसर बताओ. Complete control on the loved one, complete authority, sovereignty. She says what a woman desires the most is complete authority, complete control over the loved one. मतलब हमें पता हो कहाँ जाए. So that's the final answer, and then he's pardoned. But still में references है. There are references of Christianity, Bible, because Jesus Christ का भी एक reference है.
She quotes a priest, like some kind of saying. She gives an example that he also married multiple times. So why, if I have married multiple times, then people
She also takes reference of Christ. When people are there, and there are many women, so they offer water to Christ. But then one of them is married for multiple times, so Christ denies to take water from her. So she questions Christianity also, that why Christ denied that 5 times married woman to offer the water. ठीक है, पढ़ेंगे इसको और अच्छे से. नहीं, मुझे ध्यान नहीं इसका, पीटर का ध्यान नहीं है. I remember the Christ thing. ठीक है, any questions? We will set you free for today. Name of the tale. Wife of Bath's tale बोलते हैं. The tale of loathly lady भी आप लिख सकते हैं if you want to write. Tomorrow we will be winding up individual personalities of characters and their stories. Most probably tomorrow's long class we will be winding up Canterbury Tales completely. ठीक है, I'll try कि मैं खत्म ही कर दूं कल इसको. We are left with two important things. The individual characterization. We have to talk about their appearances. Chaucer tells us the eyes of the student of Oxford, it was having dark patches. The face of Sumner was like a cherubim red face. Children were scared of him. Then somebody had gap tooth. Individual personalities की बात होगी कल. Okay, none of Paris. Then nasal voice, ये सारी चीजें कल बात होगी individual personalities के साथ. Then their tales and their hidden messages. So once we are done with this thing, there are 1 or 2 small works. Most probably कल हम Chaucer Canterbury के साथ खत्म कर देंगे. And there are so many facts today we have done. Please revise each and everything. Like today only 3-4 people were answering with confidence and others were not. Tomorrow I want you all to answer me. Right? तो आज पूरा इसको रिवीजन करना है. एक भी क्वेश्चन आएगा 2 नंबर का क्वेश्चन है. So how many people are there? Okay, 30. Where they were leading to? Shrine of Thomas Becket. What was the month? April. Where they were staying? Tabardin. Who was the host? Harry Bailey. Who suggests the idea? Harry Bailey. 4 stories, 2 while going, 2 while returning. First storyteller, last storyteller. 22 in prose, 22 in poetry, 2 in prose. Chaucer's tale. Then some other narrations, all important things. आज का आज रिवीजन करना है. Any questions? ठीक है, मिलते हैं फिर. Thank you.